assholes.
What?
I said I was trying to do an introduction, and you're like, I'm on the other side, and just like right in the middle of the introduction as we go live. I can't fix that until we're live.
Do it again. 3, 2, 1.
You ruined the moment. It was a moment
Freaking
thing.
second. Man, ADD. I'm like, I know. It's not showing up as in destinations. I messed it up. You're like, hello.
It's showing up and everywhere for me that it's broadcasting everywhere.
It showed it wasn't broadcasting in Modern Mystic. I couldn't fix it. I got knocked out.
Hold on. It is not broadcasting in Modern Mystic for some reason.
Telling you, technology.
It says this broadcast was deleted on Facebook. I bet with the hack.
And not my Modern Mystic's not hacked.
How would that have got? One of the admin team must have accidentally deleted it then.
Okay.
I wonder. I don't know that I can add it back in.
I'm gonna just go share it or try to. But I'm having. Oh no, my page isn't loading.
Hold on, I can do it. Let me just go grab it from. Because it's the Modern Mystic group. It's not shown to.
Oh wait, there we go.
Why was it deleted? It shouldn't have been deleted.
There's some weird stuff happening. Hey everybody, sorry I messed Josh up with his intro.
Yes. Hold on. Can you hear that?
What is that?
That was the playback when I was going to your page and it started playing back automatically. And I just tried to shut the video down and it wouldn't stop. I'm like, stop. There it goes again. Okay. God, for the love.
I can't load my page. It says reload page. Page isn't available.
For Modern Mystic, the group?
My business page.
I was just on your business page, so your business page is loading. It's got to be, Tiffany. It's got to be something with your internet
or my logins. No, because even when I'm on cellular, it's still doing it. It was doing it when I was in San Antonio.
Huh? Yeah.
And I've already gone through a bunch of chats of Facebook, so.
I don't get that because
it's not bringing it.
Because I see it. It's right there. It's up. It's going. It's
showing nothing for me. It's showing no info. It's saying add all this information about me. It's not even showing. Is it showing my posts and stuff? Does it have my info about info?
Hold on. You're asking a bunch of questions and I'm in the middle of trying to do something else. You're hitting me with too much at once.
Overload.
Yes, hi Sunday.
Sunday, I love you. Yes, I'm alive. I needed to message you today. I love you. Sunday is my best friend from when I was like 15, forever.
Yeah, everything's there on your about. It's got your webpage of Tiffany Klepper at .com. You've got a 5.0 rating with 37.
Oh, that is so weird.
It like everything. Like I even went onto the business aspect of it and looked from the meta side, and you're still on there as an admin with full control, and I'm on as an admin with partial control.
Okay, good.
Which is how it was. I mean, if you want to take me to full control, I think the only thing that it does is gives me access to the financial aspects of it, which I don't mess with anyways. Well, if I get
locked out,
then I can go in and get that and pull that out into an account.
Maybe that's while I'm thinking about it.
Okay.
Because I'm getting locked out of Instagram now. I don't know what's happening, y'all. I'm having some issues.
We should probably get Susan on it too, so that you've got kind of a double redundancy.
I've sent her an invite.
Yeah, that way if they kick one of, like, if they get to like you and say me before they get to her, then, there's still someone that can attempt to grab everything and recover before we have to go through that whole process.
And all those scammers, so they keep popping up. I'm getting hit.
Yeah, guys, this is what's been going on in our world today. So let me go ahead and do an actual proper introduction. Good evening. Welcome to Breaking Reality. My name is Joshua McGuire. I am your host of Breaking Reality, and with me tonight is Tiffany the Modern Mystic, and she is my co-host. And tonight we are going to just be doing kind of a roundtable discussion. Our guest, Diana, came down ill, has some personal things going on, and is just not able to make it this evening. So we wish her well, a speedy recovery, and we will schedule back in with her as soon as she is available and able to do so. She really, really wanted to be here tonight. She was even like, I'm just going to try to push through and do it. And I'm like, no, you need to rest. You need to take care of yourself. Like, she really needs to be in that resting state right now. So Diana, if you're watching, speedy recovery. We hope you get well soon.
Blessed be, sister.
So tonight we really don't have a topic now, because we want to hold the topic that we had tonight for when Diana's able to join us. That way that we're covering all this information together at the same time, instead of like us having a conversation and then going back in a couple of weeks and having another conversation that's pretty much the same thing. And
there were some topics that came up last night that are popping to mind at the moment, actually.
Feel free to bring any of them up.
Well, we were talking about kind of that religiosity within segments of, like, with New Age community. I love New Age. I very much, a lot of it resonates. I had considered myself New Age for a long time, but there's an ableism there that really turned me away, and that's what I think we talk about.
I think we had this conversation after we went off air last night. I think this was part of you and me just hanging out and chit-chatting and talking. And,
exactly.
We could always start on the other topic that came up last night, which was Matt Rife.
Oh, yeah. I finally figured out who that guy was. He's cute.
And she thinks he's funny, too, so.
Oh, yeah, he's funny. I like his, I like, as a theater director and actress, I love his interaction with the audience. That's really cool, how he plays with the audience and keeps their engagement. And his responses are on par great. I mean, witty, funny. I like the dude.
Yeah, he's really, really great.
I'm a fan now. I didn't know who he was. I was more of a George Carlin girl,
Oh, I loved Carlin. Carlin was great. And the thing is, Carlin's words are even more true now than they were when he originally spoke them.
No shit. I'm going to start sharing on Modern Mystic when I do like my quotes and stuff I do. I'm going to start sharing some George Carlin quotes, because I came across some that were like foretelling.
I absolutely love Carlin and his work. He was good.
And of course, there's Chappelle. I mean, I saw him live.
Well,
so
let's go really throw it back and go back to someone that was, really there with Carlin and stuff too. It really told it, but died early on, was Bill Hicks.
Bill Hicks's classic stuff, very much so.
Yeah, and he did not pull punches, and he told truths in a hard manner and brought them to light, and that was beautiful the way he done it. Even Sam Kinison, in his way, man, he really brought a lot of things to light too.
I like even the dude that did Curb Your Enthusiasm. I can't think of his name at the moment. And Seinfeld, the guy that the creator of Seinfeld, or one of the writers. Oh my God! Big into the Jewish community. He's amazing, hilarious.
I've got a couple of stand-up comedians that I've talked to about coming on and doing a show about how laughter is the best medicine, because you hear that.
Well, and through comedy, they can really hit some hard truths. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing about comedy, is you can really touch on some very difficult subject matters.
Oh, yeah.
And you can do it in that humorous way through, sarcasm, and that's where a lot of people misunderstand it. It's receiving those truths and that information in a way that, keeps your attention.
Right.
Using humor as a vehicle for social change. Hi, Steph.
Hey, Stephanie, how you doing? Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Like the one comedian that I particularly was thinking of is a good buddy of mine. His name is Brian April, and
Right.
I'd love to get Brian on here at some point in time if he'd ever be down for it. Part of it's just a schedule.
I love stand up. It's so much fun on open mic night.
Oh yeah,
I've done it, but that's the improv in me and the theater in me. And
right.
I was trained and I did a peer theater company through University of Texas with kids on a type of theater called forum theater. And forum theater, it's for theater of the oppressed. It's Augusto Boal. It's this like guy from the 70s. But he used theater as a way to open up dialogue within communities to in Colombia. And we're talking in very oppressed areas in South America, Brazil, during social change. And it's theater for social change and using it as that. Oh, it's beautiful. And that's where comedy and shows like that are so spot on. That's at Matt Rife. He hits some of that too. And he tells it as it is and so insightful.
Yeah, and it's just funny. It's great to wait. Ah, yay!
Happy birthday, girlfriend. I'd sing to you, but you don't want me to.
You don't want me to sing to you.
Sunday's still here. She'd be like, no.
Like I heard her sing, no.
Oh, I will serenade at the top of my lungs and off key and own it.
I made a post the other day on my Facebook page that says I don't think Tanner's really all that much of a fan of me singing Wonderwall at the top of my lungs.
You just made my day, Steph, because I am so tired today. Thank you. I'm very self-conscious. I have a lot of weight gain.
Tiffany's always beautiful, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome, Stephanie.
The Cushing stuff just stressed me out. Josh. I love Steph. Steph is such... Hey, if anyone has any questions too, just speaking of it, like spiritual questions, psychic questions, whatever, topic ideas, stuff that you'd be interested in hearing us, jabber on about.
Yep. Feel free to fill those in. I do have to admit though, I have found I have a new addiction, people.
Oh. Okay, look what I got.
I like these because, like, I gotta admit, I'm big on soda. I love soda. Like, I'm always drinking sodas, and yes, I do. I have one of those.
I stole this from my dad's ice chest because I've been cutting back on my sodas, and all I had was unsweet tea and water.
See, and I've been trying to cut back on my sodas. Nice. She's got a weed pen.
In Texas, or y'all will know. Cabana.
So the one thing I like about these though and cutting out is they've got the caffeine, so I'm still getting the caffeine, and these things have a stupid amount of caffeine in them. I got this size last night and drank before the show, and I was up till 8 o'clock in the morning. It's got 100 milligrams of caffeine in it. This size does.
It was like, I was like, dude.
This one has 140 milligrams of caffeine in it, so it's probably going to be even worse here in a little bit.
With the ADD, it just doesn't. I could drink that and go to sleep probably.
Did you? Hi, Pam. Have you ever seen the movie Over the Hedge? It's an animated show. It's a cartoon.
Yes, I have.
I'm like, was it Hammy the squirrel?
I don't remember.
I think it was played by Steve Carell's character. He was the little squirrel that was all like he was all jacked up and hyper all the time and talked really fast. And
maybe I haven't seen that one.
Oh my God! If you haven't seen it, we got to watch it. It is so hilarious. Bruce Willis voices the raccoon. Steve Carell voices the squirrel Hammy. Eugene Levy voices a possum, and I can't remember who's the voice of his daughter. And then Wanda Sykes is a skunk. And oh my God, it is such a hilarious little movie. I love it.
Pam says, yeah.
Yeah, last night I felt like Hammy when they gave him the energy drink and like time just stopped. he's like running through the laser grid and he's like, ooh, cookie.
Oh, that's my life. Squirrel.
Oh, that movie was so perfect. And then I love the fact that through the whole movie he's trying to find like his hoard of nuts that he has stashed up for the winter, because the whole thing is that the animals are trying to gather all this food up for the winter and stuff. They're trying to get their hoard, and like all of these animals in this little forest area work next to each other, or work with each other to help each other out. And they're right on the edge of like a housing development. And so they cross the hedge to go find food because they're having trouble finding it in the woods. And like the whole part of the storyline is Hammy's trying to find where he has hidden this massive stash of nuts that he has been gathering. And one of the end lines of the movie, and this is a legit line of the movie, is he's standing there and he's like, hey guys! And everyone turns around and Hammy goes, I found my nuts! And he points to this giant, like, hollowed out, like, broken down tree log that is packed full.
It's like all hollowed out. Yeah. Oh my gosh. That would be like me when I find something. I'm like, there it is.
And it's like, how could you miss that?
Because it happens.
Oh, it was so hilarious. I love that movie. Those like movies like that are movies like I love to watch, especially when I'm like going through a really bad depressive episode.
Oh, I understand.
Yeah, they're just those things are the things that I watch that they bring me that excitement, they bring me that joy, they kind of bring me out of some of the things. They give me a chance to not focus in on all the bad crap and just have some, good, honest, laughs and fun.
Oh, Steph, thank you.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. She is awesome. She's always like sharing stuff out and promoting stuff and just
She's
absolutely amazing. Yep. I told her at some point in time, because she's not that far away. At some point in time, I told her, I said, you have to come over. And I said, I'll make some dinner. I said, she's got a couple other friends that I've done readings and stuff for. I said, all of you guys come up. I said, I'll fix dinner and we'll just do readings and chow on food all night.
That's Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Melissa is such a shining star. Serious.
Oh.
Well, we're gonna start talking more spiritual stuff, but we're our headliner, our main headliner, our main guest, he got sick, and bless her heart, she needs to heal and recuperate and get better. And Josh and I were like, the show must go on.
Yes, the show must go on, like Barnum and Bailey.
Always. That's a theater thing, too.
Squirrel brain, you said the show must go on. I go Barnum and Bailey, and then I'm thinking Greatest Showman, now Hugh Jackman.
That is the brain. Yes.
For anyone who wasn't sure if I had ADHD before,
he's got something going on.
We're not 100% sure, but there's something.
I also think a lot of that is also just creativity and having that creative mind. The more creative the minds, the more, in my experience with artists and, working with middle school theater kids, the more creative, the more scattered it can get up in there.
Stephanie says, thanks. I like to work in the background right now. I'm trying to get over my stage fright and get more comfortable reading again so I can go live. Whenever you do feel comfortable enough to go live, let us know. Either of us or both of us be more than happy to go live with you.
Bring it.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. But yeah, she's always there sharing out and supporting and just helping out the community in any way you can. And that's really, really what it's about. Oh, what was that?
My raise where I was trying, but my chair got stuck because of my
That was just it. You made
moving.
the weirdest goofy little face when you do that, and I was like, "What are you doing?"
Just I cannot, I have no poker face. I do not play cards for very specific reasons because I telegraph everything through my face.
See, and people hated playing poker with me because I was the ultimate bluff guy because I would act all happy when I had absolutely shit.
Oh, I could trick them like that.
But then I would also act all happy when I had, a royal flush, and I'm sitting there like, same way I was acting when I had absolutely crap in my hand.
I'm almost evilly competitive when it comes to board games. When it comes to shuffleboard, I will destroy an opponent and I will scare them to death because it's the athlete in me because I played basketball for so many years. I was roller derby, y'all. I did roller derby. I'm a skater girl.
I'm one of those. I'm one of those people that when I play games and stuff, I play it for the love, the fun, the joy.
I'm like, I will destroy you.
And early on in my marriage, my ex-wife
refused.
My ex-wife and I sat down to play Monopoly one night. We had a store. We had a game store. It was a comic shop and game store. We sold stuff like D&D books and like Magic the Gathering cards and stuff like that. We had all kinds of stuff like that, right? And so we had lost power one night, and so we decided, well, we're just gonna, and it was one of those things like power would usually come right back on because we was on the same grid as the police department.
Oh, yeah.
And the fire department where we was on that same power grid, and they always brought those buildings back up ASAP. That and the hospital, even though those buildings all have generators to run on their own, they bring them up fast. They bring those up fast. Those are priorities. And so we was on that same grid, so we knew we'd always come up quickly, and businesses were on that grid, so a lot of people would come to those businesses right after. They'd flock to those businesses because the only place in town that's open with power.
That's cool.
So we was sitting there and we're like, well, what are we going to do? And so we broke out some candles and sat down at one of the tables, and we decided we were going to play a game. And she's like, well, let's play Monopoly. And I'm like, okay. Well, that's when I found out that playing Monopoly with my ex-wife is one of those things that, like, it almost got down to the point where I think if I had pissed her off just one more bit by like landing on another property that she was trying to get and buying it out before
she was about to beat you or divorce you?
There was probably going to be blood. Like she was like violently angry at one point in time during the game, and like I'm pretty sure the game ended with her flipping the board over.
Oh my gosh, she flipped the table. There's a whole thing about flipping Monopoly tables.
And she didn't flip the actual table. She just flipped the board and walked away from the table all pissed off because like yeah, oh yeah, Monopoly is one of the, honestly I think that should be like an early date. Like if you guys can play Monopoly and get along, then y'all meant to be together.
I'm much more laid back now, so unless it's basketball, shuffleboard, or skating, I think I'd be okay. But that game, Risk, do you remember that game?
Oh, yeah, Risk. My brother used to play Risk.
I am like Machiavellian maniacal.
Okay, I used to play a game that was like Risk, but like a lot more in depth, and it was based on World War II, and it was a game called Axis and Allies.
Yes.
Oh man, super complex strategy game. Me and my buddy who would play that game, we would spend hours making one move in the game. Like a round for one of us. Like we played the game at his house, and he had a table in the corner that was set up just for that game. We never took it down because like literally when we would start to play, it might take us 3-4 weeks to finish a game because me and him were so big on strategies we would study the board, and it might take us an hour just to do one round. So we might get together, and through the course of the night, we might only get 4 rounds each because we spent 8 hours.
Dude, I was a D&D girl. I loved playing Dungeons and Dragons with my neighbors. I mean, hey, Steph, message me. I can't, it depends, 30 minutes, an hour. Yeah, I can't charge you like what I usually get for those. So we can talk about it.
Anytime someone asks prices, my goofy squirrel brain jumps to the line from South Park with the Loch Ness Monster and Chef's dad.
I wasn't much of a South Park girl. It just it irked me.
There was just a couple of funny, like, I can't watch all of it. Some of it just annoys the crap out of me, but some of it is stupidly hilarious.
Mr. Hanky's pretty funny, the Christmas poo, but that's, like things like that. But
Chef's parents are hilarious because the whole thing is, it starts out, it was he's like, boys, did I ever tell you about the time I saw the Loch Ness Monster? And this is exactly how he talks on the show. And he's like, they go into this whole deal, and he starts telling this story about the Loch Ness Monster, and Chef's mom's sitting there too, and she's like, yeah, and he asked me for $3.50. He said, I told that Loch Ness Monster, you ain't getting no tree fitty. He said $3.50 instead of $3.50. He said, you ain't getting no. You didn't get no tree fitty. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Very, very, very southern accent. Very southern accent. That's South. And he's like, you ain't getting.
Because I heard $3.50 when you said it.
Yeah. He said, I ain't giving you no tree fitty. And she like, well, I gave him $1 once. He's like, that's why that damn Loch Ness Monster keep coming back around. You don't give it $1, now I think you're gonna get more.
I'm thinking, Steph, if you want, for the aura reading aspect, I can type in astrally and do it. Or if you want, if you can take a picture, no filters, good lighting, like in a bathroom or somewhere in front of a white door or background, and make sure it gets like around your crown area and around your body a little bit for me, up against the white, I can usually clairvoyantly see and pick up your main colors. So if you want to do that, send me a picture like that.
On that subject, it's really interesting. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she can see auras and stuff on people really well. And so we was talking about this, and she's like, my daughter came up to me recently, and she's like, well, she heard us having this conversation. Actually, is how it went down. Was her daughter heard us having this conversation? This driving me nuts. But her daughter came up and is like, hey, what do you mean about like seeing colors? She's like,
I've seen them a whole life. I get it.
No, the whole thing is her daughter came up and she's like, what are you guys talking about seeing colors? She goes, can't everybody do that?
Nope. It took me forever to realize people couldn't see them either.
Yeah. And we're like, no. And she's like, oh, well then like, so like,
yeah.
Why do I see them? And that was the conversation,
baby.
That was the conversation starting for her. She's like, oh, so everybody can't do this? Then, nope. And she's like, why can I do it? And I'm like, well, your mother can do it really strong, and she's really powerful, and that just passed down. And honestly, in that
bloodline,
and that maternal bloodline, and it's through the women in that line. Her mom can do it, her grandmother can do it, and I bet if you go on back, great grandmother and so on, all of them can do it.
See, it wasn't. I don't know. Like I'm kind of an anomaly. I think that in my family line, kind of like, like on that, like we're talking about religious aspect stuff, a lot of that would have been shushed. In that Bible Belt area, and that's when I started telling people their colors and stuff. When I was little, I would, I was talking to spirit girls, I freaked my mom out because my spirit girl was changing the channel, and I was like, Mom, we're arguing over Saturday morning cartoons. I was like 4, or 3 arguing because I still had very clear sight at that time. And then I was taught not to do that. I was told not to talk to people about it. I got in trouble.
Yep.
And I shut it down. You know, the empathy, the clairsentience did not shut down on me. It turned down some because I was punished for being too sensitive.
And that's what happens
all the time.
And that's what happens to a lot of kids. Like, a lot of kids have abilities and powers when they're born, and they grow up with these things, and then they're told, oh, don't do that, that's wrong, you're not supposed to do that, don't tell anyone. And they make it this such demonized thing.
It's a shame thing too. I had to really work around that. Instead
of going, okay, hey, why don't I work with you and teach you how to handle these things, to use these gifts, to use these skills, to use these abilities.
They don't see them as gifts, though. They see them as wrong.
Right.
There's something wrong with their child.
Because they're looking at things through a lens of someone who's wanting to control.
Yeah. Well, and the fear of like witchcraft, the fear of all of that stuff in that
right,
that Southern Baptist stuff,
not even Southern Baptist. It goes through pretty much all of Christianity. Because even in the extremes of Christianity, like the Pentecostal and the full gospel non-denominational stuff that I came out of, like they get into like laying on the hands for pray for healing and casting out demons and all that stuff. They believe in these abilities, but by God, you talk about something magical or metaphysical, and you are the demon. You are filled with demon spawn. You are evil. And I'm like, how in the hell is what you do?
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, any different than what I do?
Look at this. She has a good point. Information was not prevalent then. Like, I'm 1980. Yeah. And I know it was, my dad and I talked about this because since Dad's gotten a lot more, well, my dad's a scientist, a geologist, petroleum engineer, and more open-minded with that aspect. And I can talk the science of it. I can talk the metaphysical. I can talk the astrophysics. I've studied that. And part of the reason why is protection. Arm yourself with knowledge, because when I started stepping out more into who I was, I needed to have, like, I've read so many Gnostic Bible, Christianity. I've read all the different versions, basically.
Pam nailed it right here, though, too, because.
My generation.
Yeah, see, we got to talking about this a little bit last night when I got into. This is where you and me. This was after the show. We was talking about the New Age community, and I was talking about like Timothy Leary and Ram Dass and McKenna and.
Yes.
The McKenna brothers, Dennis and
Terrence McKenna.
Timothy McKenna, Terrence McKenna, Timothy and Dennis Leary.
There were three. Mm-hmm.
And then Ram Dass. And they were all big in early study of the psychedelics during the 60s and 70s. And that spawned off a lot of that New Age spiritual community stuff came out and around. Like they were kind of ended up almost at the epicenter of that in a weird way.
Just because of Helena Blavatsky, I think of like some of that, like Theosophical Rosicrucian, some of that as well.
See, to me, that goes back a lot further because you're looking at like Blavatsky and like.
It got picked up a lot in the 60s and 70s, though, and a lot of people really.
That's to me when the New Age movement started. That's the technical New Age movement.
Yeah, and that's where you have like Dolores Cannon, where there's psychology. You've got who was the other psychiatrist that worked with Doreen Virtue? He did oh my goodness. One Soul, Many Lives. It's a beautiful, Dr. Brian Weiss. That's where, you started getting doctors and psychiatrists who were doing past life regressions with people. There was a lot happening within consciousness during that time period.
Well, that's when they like, honestly, they would get into doing like the spoon bending parties and stuff because they was working on using those extrasensory abilities.
Psychometry.
And that stuff became a like, God, I hate using this word, almost became like a fad type ordeal during that time. Yeah, there was books in the 30s and 40s, but it was a lot smaller community. That was kind of like the foundations being laid in the 30s and 40s was built off of going back to what Tiffany was talking about, like Blavatsky and stuff like that, the stuff in the 30s and 40s. And then from there, because you had like Edgar Casey and stuff coming out with stuff and bringing out a lot of this knowledge and stuff. And Casey doing his remote viewings and talking about his remote viewings abilities.
Being more open about it.
Casey, I believe, might have been among some of the first people to really talk about the Akashic records really heavily. And I'm not talking about he was the first person to talk about them. He was the first person to really get big into known. Yeah.
Well, the Akashic is something that every culture, I mean, if you really want to get into it, every culture has some kind of Akashic, but that I believe the Akashic actually itself, like that term, comes out of Eastern traditions. And that was also, that's the time period, like with the Beatles, and that we had Eastern culture being more brought into mainstream and the melding of Eastern culture within Western culture and vice versa.
Right, like exactly, because like the Beatles, who were a major influence, went to India and spent a lot of time over there with the yogis and stuff.
Well, they worked with Aleister Crowley. They were at the Lima.
Yeah, and then when they came back from their time in India, you really look. Ringo was so-so, George so-so, but John and Paul really changed from their time in India. They all did change somewhat from their time in India because of their exposure to the culture and the beliefs and everything. But John and Paul had this really big change with it. And I honestly, if you want to talk history about stuff like that and music and stuff about like how like those kind of influences, the person is my buddy Dubs.
Dubs, awesome. Yeah.
Dubs is like this crazy music buff that knows like insane amounts of music history. He used to do a radio show out in Arizona, and that was part of his show. Is he would give like all this stuff on history and stuff about the shows and stuff. Stupid, crazy, insane amount of knowledge. Like I watched the what was the thing on Disney, the Beatles? I think it was Get It Back or something back like that or whatever. Let me look real quick.
This is saying a lot of people believe New Age spirituality took force in the 1970s and 80s, but it's actually got far more ancient origins. A lot actually comes from Gnosticism. And some of that underbelly of that Gnostic tradition of the alternate of, mainstream Christianity, and that first form of New Age beliefs that took forth amongst the 2nd century.
A lot of like what a lot of people know. Yeah, it's the Beatles. Get Back is I watched that with him and it was amazing. But like a lot of the New Age stuff is based on, like you said, those Gnostic things, those Gnostic texts, the Gnostic beliefs. They really open up into a lot of different aspects. But one of the things is like like we said, it became mainstream late 60s, 70s, 80s time frame. That's when it really was kicking in. That's when you was getting all the. That's when you had the Miss Cleo videos. You had all the late night info. You had all the late night info stuff going on. There's actually a documentary on HBO about Miss Cleo that I want to watch that I haven't watched.
That would be really good. I'm looking at this. The Theosophist Society really helped with that foundation and the fundamental of the New Age in 1970. But, they do talk about the mind, body, spirit, all of that. It's always, been there is like an undercurrent, but it was squished and shushed and put in those back corners, like it's spiritualism or is this or that or woo-woo or, I even used to just say years ago, I was termed as woo woo, and I was like, screw it, I'm eccentric and woo woo, fine, whatever. I was doing spells and witchy woo woo stuff without even realizing it was spells and witchy woo woo stuff. And it was just, and I had past life memories. I had flashbacks as a kid I couldn't talk about. I mean, I had night terrors. I saw shadow people. I had a bunch of stuff happening. And, it was just so shushed. And I'm wondering, though, like Dolores Cannon and some of them see it as like, like I know I'm indigo, and as are you, and it's like, but I mean, it's like,
Squirrel brain
I
again,
believe
sorry.
these are abilities and stuff that we've always had. It's just, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's innate? I mean, I believe it is. I believe everyone has abilities. They just need to tune into it. But the degree of and their openness to do so is a big part of it.
I think we all have abilities in different ways, different shapes, different forms.
Intuition.
Yeah, and some of our abilities and some of the things, like you said, certain people are going to be stronger. Like, some people are going to be stronger in doing like aura readings because that's really their niche. That's their thing. Some people are going to be better at doing, interpretations of cards and readings and divination because that's their thing. Some people might be better in doing dream interpretations. Different aspects on where different people are at.
That's it. It's acceptance. That was
yeah.
the thing during my Kundalini awakening back in 2010. I had been dragging my feet. I was already diagnosed with lupus and fibro, but I was hanging in there teaching theater. I was doing the career world. I was married. My, ex-husband was getting his master's to be a principal. But there was this part of me that got to the point to where, like, when I was learning to teach yoga to my theater kids and I was meditating, I always had crystals. I've always collected crystals. My dad's a geologist. I've always felt their energy. I just didn't talk about it. But then all of a sudden it was like, I was plugged in. That electrical charge went up from the base of my spine up through the top of my damn head in that yoga instructor class, and the whole world went sideways on me. And I was seeing like reality over reality. I was worried I was having a psychotic break. And I found my mentor, and it was one day after school with the middle school kids feeling all their damn feels, and my empath abilities were full blown again. And I was like, ah. And I started driving, and I just knew where to go. And I ended up at this store called, I can't think of it now. It's a bookstore, Spiritual Center. I'll think of it in a minute, in San Antonio. And I walk in, and there's this little bitty lady standing there, and she looked at me and she said, "Hello, girl." And I was like, "Help." And she became my Reiki master, my mentor, my teacher. I've done tarot since I was 16. I've always been drawn. And that's where it's like, is that a soul thing too? Or is that, it's like soul memory, genetic memory.
Oh, no. I think it is. I think it's straight up soul stuff, because I think that the gifts and abilities that you have, I think those abilities are something you carry in every lifetime.
They are. I've been persecuted in past lives for them.
Right. For the same set of abilities, the same skill set, right?
I have wounds.
Yeah, and I believe that we carry those. That's our skill. That's our gift. That's our abilities. That's what we take with us. We carry that lifetime to lifetime to lifetime.
That makes sense.
And part of what we're doing is we're learning each lifetime how to harness these abilities, how
to step into that authenticity,
how to hone these skills, how to take them to a different levels, how to perfect our craft is what we're doing. Bye, Stephanie. Have a good night. Thank you for stopping by.
Okay, you and I differ on something, and I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
All right. I know that I feel to the depths of my being and I monitor the Schumann, there is a shift in consciousness, awareness, and we know that. A global, and that you've got alternate sides for different reasons, trying to prevent it from happening, and the indigos, or star seeds or earth, whatever you want to call yourself, okay? But light workers, healers, shamans, druids, witches, we are now at a time in this epic, because I believe there's prior civilizations of human history, like the Mayan calendar. We have the end of the Kali Yuga.
We've got the Younger Dryas, which gives us that proof, and we go back to looking at Göbekli Tepe and Charon Tepe. Let's go into all that stuff if you want. But
I've been dreaming of that place my whole life.
But let's continue on into this, because I'm kind of curious as to what you're going to ask me, because you're laying a lot of foundation on. Right.
And I'm wondering about ascension. What do you think?
See, I have a whole different idea and concept of what I believe ascension is versus a lot of things. Because Tiffany gets to hear me go off on my rants.
And I am more new age in a lot of my philosophy when it comes to ascension. So I'm interested here.
Okay, so let me start off with my rant by saying I know Tiffany's hitting me up with this because she gets to hear me go off on when I hear people talk about the 3D, 4D, 5D, 6D, 8D.
Oh, that's the whole thing too. I disagree with a lot of that shit too.
like first off, if people are using that as an ascension model, you're doing it wrong.
Well, someone who says, "Oh, you're just too 3D," and I'm like, "Dude, seriously, that's so 3D." You saying that?
Oh, all that makes me want to do is just bitch slap that person and walk away. Like, honestly, it just makes me not want to have that car.
Too low for me. Well, okay, then it is whatever.
Okay, you go vibrate somewhere else. I'll see you later. Goodbye.
I know my vibrations are fine.
If someone's going to come at me that way, which you and me have had experiences with someone in the past, we was talking about them before the show. We're not going to name names.
Yes.
Yeah. but have been.
Or that's not spiritual of you.
Yes.
Seriously?
Sorry. I'm a spiritual being inhabiting a human body here for the human experience.
Yes.
And what I'm trying to do is bring the spiritual and human experience into alignment with one another. Honestly, I believe that's what the true goal of ascension is. But honestly, if I really want to talk about what I believe the goal of ascension is, like how you truly ascend, first off, you ascend by just being open to being able to say, hey, look, new information has come into me, and I'm able to take this information, bring it in, and integrate it. And if it doesn't come into alignment with what I had previously been taught, and it's different, and this is, it's giving me evidence that what I was taught before was wrong, or not the truth, that I was misled.
Not necessarily accurate. I wouldn't say wrong.
Right. Not wrong, but not necessarily accurate, that it's been manipulated or whatever.
Propagandized, whatever.
Yeah, used for manipulation, used for whatever. Is to take that.
Love it.
What she said.
I think multidimensional beings. I love you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But I really think a big part of ascension is just being able to go, hey, look, I was giving something new. I can take this in, I can integrate this, and I can bring this in to my consciousness in a level where I can integrate this and understand this better. And that upgrades you in a way.
Okay, yeah, upgrades, like downloads, like that leveling up is what I call it, going up the ladder.
And so it is part of an ascension ordeal with that, but like this whole idea of ascension, like to
what
me,
about 2 Earths?
About 2 Earths?
Oh, because I believe there's multiple Earths. I believe there's multi-dimensional.
I believe that there is. God, this is so crazy to get into. Did you watch the Loki series on Disney Plus?
I watched some of it, so I might get the reference. I just didn't really get into it.
Okay, Did you see where they were showing how the timeline was breaking and fracturing off when they would make different moves and stuff, and they would do certain things, and then
Yes.
they had these time police that would come in and try to, correct decisions and stuff. Well, what was happening is when they would do a break in that line, every possibility that could happen would start to create its own timeline. A timeline of every possibility, every decision would create.
Mm-hmm.
So if I was given a choice of going into studying my spiritual path, or another aspect was to go into the military, which probably wouldn't have went into a spiritual aspect inside the military.
You might have gotten pushed, like I got pushed. I dragged my feet multiple times, and then finally, universe was like, "Ha ha!"
But what I'm saying is, when that decision came for me to make a decision to go one way or the other, back when I was 18.
Oh yes.
I believe
I ignored it a little bit.
I believe at that point in time. Oh, I did too. But I believe at that point in time, when I made a decision not to do one path, that it was created in another dimension, another realm, that a version of me followed that path.
So you were aware of that were you aware of that at that time, or is this like you realize this later? Because I know there's multiple of me at different conjunctions of my life.
Yeah, it's kind of
you know
weird
what I'm saying?
Because here's the thing. I was inducted onto my path as my journey at 15 years old.
Yeah.
I was actually given a real kind of traditional rite of passage into this. And so
I was reading books.
See, I was snagged up by a shaman and taught.
See, I wasn't taught until way later.
I wasn't given like really deep teaching, but I was given an induction and some stuff, and then sent on the path and go journey. You're going to find something.
Mine is put on those floaties, big girl, because we're throwing you in the deep end, and it's
pretty much. Honestly, that's how mine went. You've heard me share my story of how I was.
Look at this. I have a theory on this, but I'll let Josh.
Yes, that's exactly what I was talking about. For every decision you make,
not every decision, or like big life altering, like. If you had gone this direction, your life would have been this way. I don't think
it's a decision of, should I get the chicken or fish?
Yeah, I think it's a big life change.
I think it's major life events, major moments, major critical points.
But I got a question though.
That if you shift it one way or another.
Okay.
It would change the flow of your life dynamically.
So there's another aspect of Josh that actually had gone into the military in an alternate multidimensional universe. Now, do you share the same spirit, soul, and consciousness connection to him and have a connection to him energetically, or is he separate from you? Because I get weird deja vu shit, y'all, where I swear. Or I get like ripple in time, like wrinkles in time.
I wish I had an onion, because that's the best way to describe this.
The layers?
Cut an onion in half. Look at it, the layers. It's still all one onion. Still all me. These are different layers and different dimensions that are still all part of me. They're still kind of tied together. You can peel them apart and they're separate and of their own when you peel the layers away.
So like you have it, like your oversoul, your monad basically would be connected to all of those. And then when each one passes or whatever, you go back and give information to that higher aspect or higher dimensional version of yourself, or however you want to call it.
Bringing back those experiences, that knowledge, that wisdom, everything, bringing it back. And that's part of that. But like you said, sometimes there's those weird bleedovers where it's like, what in the crap was that shit?
Yes. Okay. But what about the idea that all reality is happening at the same time as far as past, present, future? So essentially they say that time is an illusion and that all we have is pretty much the now, if you really think about it, and that our past selves, our past lives, or our past experiences, or it's all happening. Past, present, future is all the same. How in the heck does that? I'm like
To quote the doctor, and I do mean Doctor Who, time is just wibbly
Ah,
wobbly. It's all timey wimey, wibbly wobbly, is what he says.
I do the spiral path. I've
But
seen the spiral forever.
but I do believe that concept, but it really is a hard concept to grasp. That because you've got to look at the aspect of if time is infinite, there's really no way to judge time to mark
Well, I
time
think of an
out.
8, a figure 8, the infinity symbol, and it all
Yeah,
comes back to 0 point. So 0 point is the now point. Is that what they mean when they say 0 point? To come back to this now moment, that 0 point where you're
it
in
depends.
alignment at that moment.
It depends on 0 point and how they're talking about it,
Oh,
because it really
true.
depends on like the context of how they're using the term 0 point.
I agree with this too.
Because 0 point can just talk about coming back to a baseline.
And Pam is right too, because aren't we a free will universe essentially? So yeah, that aspect, there is no 0 point. See, I've heard people say 0 point, and I'm like,
See to me, in the figure 8, there's no stop point. It's continual, ever moving. That's what the
middle
infinity
where the
symbol.
two connect.
But that is not really a 0 point. That is just honestly,
Part of the path.
if you look at it in a 3-dimensional layer, they don't touch. It's past going over top of each other.
See,
If you look at it
exactly.
3-dimensionally instead of 2D, if you look at it in a 3D model
Yes.
instead of a 2D like written down on paper, if
Yes.
you look at it in a 3D model,
Like an Ouroboros.
yeah, that represents it as well. That's a representation of no beginning, no end.
Yeah, Ouroboros. I mean,
Yeah.
infinity. Okay, look what Brittany says. Because past life regression, like I know I've had past lives. They are part of my, but also are they downloads that my soul has picked up?
See, Brittany, I struggle with this because, I see time like all of us in a way, linear, yesterday's in the past, tomorrow's in the future, now is the present,
See, I don't see it linear, which is bizarre.
and past lives, because like when we look back in history, I have past life memories of stuff that have happened in different periods of time frame. Like I know at one point in time I was involved in the stuff that went on in World War II. I have past life regression. I have past life memories of that time frame.
But what about the infinity issue? Like, okay, I know in past life stuff, I have actually astraled through out of body experience, near death crap. Okay. When I had my life review, and I know that I was able to spiritually visit myself at another point in time and help with healing and protecting myself from a future vantage point.
Yes, and it's weird because I've had some experiences like that in some weird ways, and the way I explained it is it's kind of like Quantum Leap. If you ever watched that TV show,
yes, I grew
where
up
Scott
on that
Bakula, where he jumps into other people's bodies, but it wasn't. I was jumping into some stranger's body. I was going back to my own in a previous life.
So does that mean that that's happening present though? Because you were able to affect the past to affect change in the present, right?
Like I said, time's all wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
That's a new thing now. Tiffany, time is wibbly wobbly. Back off.
Hey, David. Hey, it came from David Tennant during his time as the Doctor.
I like
Doctor Who.
I am you and you are me, and we're all part of the grand, we all come from the grand consciousness, grand source, we're different. Okay, when I was under ketamine, I looked at my dad and I said, Dad, you're me and I'm you, and we're all fractals of consciousness, and we're all the source mind, and we're all actually fractals of source mind experiencing itself in human form. And Dad was like,
well, let me see. Let me clarify this with Brittany and make sure I'm getting this right. So I want to make sure Brittany's talking about like the infinity is that we're the same soul throughout all time. So that means that the soul that is me, that is Joshua McGuire right now, is the same soul. It doesn't change. That is in all my lifetimes. Every lifetime, it's this soul It's that energy. It's that soul that's living.
Backs up. Yes.
Right. That body doesn't matter.
No,
It's that
a vessel.
soul. Right.
Well, but genetic bloodline does matter, I think, in some instances. I really feel our souls, some of us do incarnate into specific lineages for reasons.
Right. Right. Because there are powers in certain bloodlines. That is things that we see, that certain bloodlines have certain abilities, certain powers, certain gifts, certain things that are within bloodlines. And so souls are placed within those bloodlines to enhance those gifts or to work with those gifts, or maybe that line has started to go corrupt and they need someone to bring it back into balance,
to come in and be the ancestral cleanser, the karmic cleanser. That makes sense too.
Right, because I do believe that there are some of us that are souls that are sent in specifically to go through for specific reasons.
I think I might be one.
to help bring balance back to things when things start to go so far out.
Okay.
Yes. Exactly.
That is what infinity means to me.
The very last comment she put up. Exactly. Because I've not always been a male in every single life that I've had.
I've been a dude.
And I might be Fido. I might be,
a tree
barking at the moon.
You might be part of collective, the consciousness of Gaia during an aspect of it, an elemental. You might not be human. You might be angelic. You might be fae. You might be
I've had experiences where I have had vivid memories of time that I spent as nothing but cosmic energy without body or form.
Me too.
Just pure raw energy in the cosmos.
When I do ketamine, it does that to me. It pulls me out of my body in that K-hole, and I am cosmic. That's where I channel angels and shit, because they're coming through because I'm popped out.
Now, see, I originally learned, okay, I can't say originally learned. All right, let me start with a little bit of my history. For those of you guys who don't know my past. At 15 years old, I was inducted into the path that I'm on by a Lakota Sioux medicine man who took me through a couple of sweat lodge ceremonies. And then after the second sweat lodge ceremony I went through, I ended up going into a peyote ceremony with him. And this was an induction where they saw that they were using these tools and these ceremonies to help teach me my gifts, my abilities, and to unlock what had been oppressed. Which we'll go into this more when we do the story on religious trauma, the show on surviving religious and spiritual trauma. But these abilities had been repressed, and what they were doing was they was teaching me how to bring them back. They were using these tools, and the peyote was a form of a technology, and I believe that psychedelics are a biotechnology that is gifted to us by our creator to be used to help us gain enlightenment and deeper depth and understanding of not only our spiritual aspect, but the world around us.
Our brains produce DMT. Come on now.
Yeah. Body's naturally produced in our body. and DMT, which is dimethyltryptamine, is the strongest psychedelic compound known on the planet right now at this point.
The God molecule.
Yeah.
And kind of like with what you're talking about,
they don't call it God molecule; they call it spirit molecule. God molecule.
Spirit molecule. That's it. Not God particle. That's CERN.
That's CERN. That's the God particle. CERN. They call it the spirit molecule. Yeah, that's a whole different other story that we can go into.
Get me into that one. There's some more Mandelas we can talk about. I'm serious. I've got my dad as a believer on Mandela. Seriously, there's some shizness happening. There's some new ones.
Well, see, and that plays into everything that we're talking about with, the layers and stuff. I believe some of that goes on where we're getting the
bleedovers.
Yeah, the Mandela effect. Well, I believe some of it is bleed over, and I believe some of it is where dimensions are collapsing in and on one another. So what existed in one, like they're merging.
There's this great kid on TikTok that talks about that exact thing. And he's like 12.
You want to know the funny thing? Oh God, I'm such a geeky nerd. Okay, like I'm huge into comics and everything. the Marvel Universe done a storyline not too long ago because they had these separate dimensions that had different characters in all of them. And they done a thing where they had all these dimensions collide and basically collapse in on each other into one. And so there was mergers where people were like different, like, you know, the Punisher was different in one versus the other. And so when the two merged, it was which one becomes the dominant in the new realm. It was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. And if you look at Marvel Comics, they do, and DC Comics, they do a lot of stuff along the multiverse and these whole dimensional shifts. There's a lot of the spiritual aspects that is really, really interesting. That if you look at, some of it's pure fake fantasy stuff, but some of it is they take these concepts and they put them out there. And I really believe,
look at science fiction.
And I really believe in a way what they're doing is they're trying to prepare people for the actual truth coming out when they're ready. They start putting these things in pop culture. Look at everything that's been going on with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Everything is about the multiverse. If you start looking around, you're seeing stuff about multiversal stuff everywhere around in pop culture.
Oh yeah.
When you start seeing that stuff, you gotta really start to think, okay, what are they? Are they going to be preparing us?
Is it them, or is it our collective consciousness bleeding through in that creativity within those creators and those artists that are coming up with these stories?
I think what it is there is, it could be,
or is it them?
It could be some cabal or whatever is preparing things. Yeah, I know what you're illuminating to.
Illuminating to?
Yes. While you're trying to shine a light on the eye of.
The eye of.
I get where you're going with this. The Illuminati, okay? I'll just say it. I'm not scared.
Is it like that? Or is it like humanity is just like, getting messages from the universe?
Well, what I believe that it is I think part of it is there's people that are trying to show the tiger. What I believe it is I believe that there's people in control that know that these exist, that these multi-dimensions exist. They have seen them. They know they're there. Yes. They know that this is there.
The secret teachings.
But the human consciousness as a whole is starting to realize things. And I think people are starting to bring these subjects up and they're getting talked about more and they're starting to come out because they've come out of small communities like ours.
The tiger is out of the bag. The tiger is out of the bag.
Exactly. And these people that are writing comics and stuff are people like us. They're geeks, they're nerds, they're fringe. They look
I am a geek. I'm a total nerd.
You're a total complete theater geek.
I am. Don't get me talking about my conspiracy about Shakespeare and Francis Bacon and the King James Version.
Oh, Jesus Christ. And him too.
And we can get into Saint Germain on that one. I love that Pam said we're all one and interconnected because we're all fractals. We're all, and that's that beautiful, very, I can't remember, was it Rumi where he says, like, I am you, you are me, or even like look at like Star Wars, look at, the Force.
I love what Rumi says. One of Rumi's most famous poems was, I went looking for God and found myself. I went looking for myself and found God.
Found God. But then that's so blasphemous if you think about it when it comes to the control of religiosity. Religiosity squishes that because they want it external. They want us to, but come on now. As below, as within, as without, as above, below, so within, so without, all of that jazz. I mean, look at the Hermetic principles, Emerald Tablets of Thought, look at Thoth, or, we are all connected in that web. It's like, Wait, it's horrible to even think. Pocahontas in the movie where she said, the grandmother tree Willow says, child, there's spirits everywhere, and all you have to do is listen and pay attention.
Mm-hmm.
There's spirits everywhere. And, it's like in the Gnostic teachings, like, Jesus and St. Thomas talked about, look underneath that rock, look underneath that blade of grass. God is everywhere.
Which is the pagan teachings.
Yes, it is. And very much. And and then we can get in the whole divine feminine about the war on that one, because then they had to get rid of the aspects of those that were so connected to the natural abilities, the natural connection to the world and spirit. And that's where it became demonized, essentially.
Oh, absolutely.
Ooh, I like that. The more we accept that, the closer we become. Absolutely. That is such wisdom, and then, speaking of like media and stuff, and then, we've got like the Simpsons, like they predicted so much crap. I've like gone back and watched some Simpsons, y'all, to find out what's going to happen. Like, where is that coming from? Predictive programming? Is that coming from some, like, whoa, that was weird.
I mean, what was that? It's strange because, I mean, you can look at Nostradamus as like, an old version of The Simpsons.
I heard it. It was weird. I heard someone snapping in my left ear, and that's why I looked over. And then I saw out the corner of my eye, like a white mist glow, the way I see spirit sometimes, and it poofed. So I don't know. I've been, ever since Chloe was buttoning on my leg last night, I've been having some serious spiritual stuff. But then, that kind of goes into that idea of the realities, and it comes into that idea of that multidimensionality too, that the eternalness of our spirit and soul. Ooh.
Oh, I'm curious as to what this is, because I wasn't privy to this conversation, so I have no idea what this Diana thing is.
A little bit. I kind of had a crazy day today. A little bit. It's more. I'm bringing up a blank. Honestly, I'm bringing up an absolute, like, I need a refresher. I need like, give me like a breadcrumb here. Give me a prompt, sister. Because like on the topic of God, like the stuff that we talked about, like with that, I need a refresher, like little blurb of me. Trigger my brain fog.
That, or we can send her an invite if she's in a position to just join us. She can join us. Her and both are welcome to.
Yeah, Britt and I talked for a long time. It was a very good conversation. We really did. I'm not sure what she's. Yes, Diana. Oh, her. Oh, okay. The goddess Diana. Brittany, if it's okay, Brittany had a beautiful vision with a goddess, a golden goddess with the golden hair, the flowing hair, the illuminated golden goddess. And the words that Diana, the goddess, said to her is, you have a part of me in your heart and mind. Absolutely. Brittany, there was a thing during my past life reading that you did for me, where we talked about me understanding the darkness a little bit and not seeing necessarily darkness as so bad, like light versus dark, and that's bad and evil and Well, actually, if you think about it, before light, the cosmic womb was darkness.
Well,
and we're babies in our mother's womb, and that primordial womb that is as above, so below, we're in darkness.
Yep.
Darkness isn't bad.
No.
Darkness is very misunderstood. Now, there's a difference between darkness and evil. That's a whole
Yes.
other thing. And I had to really wrap my head around that. Well, Brittany helped me to understand, some of my connections that I have to some very old lineages. And it makes sense with what my blood typing is and a lot of that and my genetic lineage and my past life stuff. It really tied a lot together. And it's like, we have that aspect of, I believe, that divine mother, that divine feminine. And I believe that it's a core, like you have Sybil, you have all these different divine mothers and all these cultures. It's still the same energy that's just coming in different facets with different names and faces and different roles that could be played. But I believe that is Brittany being reminded of her inner goddess. And that
absolutely.
the goddess is not without, that goddess is within as well. And that's that divine feminine rising that we've got going on right now. I know, I talk about it. Josh feels it. That divine feminine, man, she's done. She's stepping out in many of us.
Oh, yeah. I've been getting messages on that for about 3-4 years on ayahuasca. Very strong messages about the divine feminine stepping forward.
It took me a long time to accept her because I was so indoctrinated for a while there. I read The Spiral Dance by Starhawk. And I was very Gnostic. I was very, like God is a masculine God, But I had been searching for the divine feminine my whole life. I got kicked out of Bible school because I said, well, if there's a God that's a man, then where's the goddess? Where's his wife? Well, she's Ashura, and she got kicked out and demonized, and that's a whole nother story. But yes, Yahweh was married. Anthropology, history, I'm sorry. I was yelled as blasphemy and yelled as a heretic just a few months ago because I'm sorry. History is history. And the victors wrote a lot of what people are believing.
I tell you what, the people that tell me that I'm blasphemous and that I'm wrong, they are more than welcome to call me blasphemous and wrong all they want.
I was told to go talk to my cousin who's a Baptist preacher, and I said, of course. And we had a great conversation. I know my stuff.
It doesn't bother me one bit because those people don't know what they're talking about when they start calling me blasphemous.
Well, no, because you know your history. You've read the books.
And I also know what resonates with me. Yeah. Oh God. No, the next one is what I.
And then I get that, you're a witch. Oh, yes, that is it. Yes. Like,
I love
me and shit.
Excuse me for a moment while I climb up on my soapbox.
Exactly. It's true. I mean, it's like.
I find it funny.
Fear. It's fear driven.
I find it funny that one of the major things in Christianity. Exactly. If we're going to get stoned, we're going to do it with some weed, not rocks. Okay. Y'all are doing this shit wrong.
I swear some of my physical stuff is also carryover. Some of my physical stuff is carryover from past life traumas.
Oh, I believe in that too. I think so too. I think some.
I know I was stoned in past lives, and I was hung, and I was caught on fire, and I was drowned, and I
want to jump up on my soapbox here for a second though, because I find it absolutely hilarious that in not everyone, but in a lot of the Christian community, you get that. Oh well, you're into witchcraft. You're going to hell. Excuse me. Hold on. Time out. Flag on the play. Fucking. First off, let's start with the fact of y'all need to read your damn Bible.
There you go.
Because y'all are judging, and that's not your job. That's not your role. That's not where you're supposed to be. Jesus, your Messiah, said, "Judge not, lest you be judged yourself. Let he who is without sin cast the first stone." And y'all a bunch of sinful motherfuckers.
It's true. Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah. So the first one of those people that step up and start judging me on stuff, I throw that right up in their face, and I will cuss at them, and I will say it exactly like I just said.
I throw about the original Hebrew, and I'm like, you don't know your shit because the word ain't even witch. It's
No.
murderer, poisoner. Go read the original Hebrew before it was translated to Greek, before it was edited by King James, and that's a whole another spill right there. I got a whole thing about him.
And when you go back and you look at the early Christians who were the Gnostics,
yes,
they were magicians and witches, and they worked with magic.
The Magi.
Yes. If Brittany's bringing the chocolate, I definitely want some of that chocolate, because those are going to be amazing freaking s'mores.
It's one of those things, but it's an automatic attack, and that's what I'm going to be honest. It's kind of scaring me about the way some things are going within, to be so, because we've stepped out. We're open. I'm open about, I'm a rainbow. I will fly my rainbow outside my house in support of my rainbow people. I'm spiritual. I started using the term witch because I got called it. And I was like, okay, fine. I'm very naturally that way. But, it's part of who I am.
At one point in time, I was in a discussion with some people.
Oh, brownies, special brownies, please.
I was in a discussion with some people about a topic on spirituality and stuff, and I told them, I said, whatever you perceive me to be, whether you perceive me to be a druid or a witch or a pagan or just evil or whatever the hell it is that you perceive me to be, I'm not going to even argue with you on that. I said, I'm not going to have that discussion because you're going to perceive me to be that no matter what. I said, I could tell you everything that you want to know, and you are still going to perceive me how you want to perceive me. Bye, Pam. Love you. Have a good night. But it's one of those things. I'm not going to sit there and try to argue with someone over their perception of who I am.
Coming through their lens.
Right. The only thing I will do is present them the truth of the knowledge that is there and said, hey, and honestly, that's the way I shut down most people who come at me, is like, oh, so you're judging me. And I get that. Well, no, I'm not judging you. And I'm like, then what the hell is this if not judgment? Well, I'm just telling you shouldn't be doing this. I'm pretty sure that's judgment. You're telling me this is... I'm pretty
sure that's not your place to tell me what I'm supposed to be doing.
Because if you're telling me I shouldn't be doing this, you're telling me it's wrong. So you're judging what I'm doing, and you're passing judgment that I'm doing something wrong. So, yes.
And our ancestors...
I love that one song. I Am My Mother's Daughter, about the witch that talks about how she runs barefooted. Oh, I think we missed saying hi to Tim earlier. And hi, Tammy. Hey, Melissa. Melissa just showed up. Yeah. So, but.
That I am the daughter of my ancestors. I am that is truth. And our ancestors, like I know my genetic lineage, because I've got the Celtic, I've got the Norse. That's what I am. A little bit of Germanic mixed in there. And getting back, and that's where I used to study. Like Bridget was the first goddess that came to me in my teens. And I went and checked out at my middle school. I was like 13. I worked in the library. I checked out all these books. And at the time, we had these books on ancient peoples. It wasn't like this whole book banning stuff and this whole it is terrifying me.
Welcome to 1930s pre-Third Reich Germany.
It's scaring me because it takes that kind of stuff away from...
Actually, it was the rise of the Third Reich is what it was.
Yes, it was.
That's exactly what we're seeing with this stuff, like what's going on down in Florida with DeSantis and that crap. And I'm not afraid to... That's definitely very special. It's one of my jobs. Nice, but I'm not afraid to breach conversations about that dude either, because he is straight up scary.
Well, you know what I call him, but I'm afraid to say it on here.
I'll say it. The Satan.
Yeah.
I actually have put post up where I refer to him as Hitler Light or Little Hitler or Hitler Jr.
There was that lady that said the Grand Wizard.
Yeah. Oh my God, that was hilarious.
The Grand Wizard in my home state of Florida. Oh, did I say that?
That was
it's
hilarious.
terrifying. It's
Well, and it's that really, really white nationalist evangelical mindset that they're working from, and it is
Anglo-Saxon Protestant males.
It's not just the males. The women are just as bad too.
It is in a lot of ways. But the ideal.
I actually have more females come at me over my religious belief systems than I do males.
I've had so many, and I'll get that. And it's not they don't want to have a conversation. They don't want to learn. They don't want to understand. They could give a shit less about, I am wrong because I am different and I'm wearing freaking crystals. And I've had ladies come up to me and tell me that I needed to go repent and I needed, what's it called? Not Providence. I needed, what's it called when they tell you redemption, where you need,
penance?
Not penance. There's another, gosh darn it. It's you got that devil in you stuff, and I need
an exorcism.
Yeah, if they only knew that I'm the one that actually knows how to help get rid of those things,
Yeah, no
but whatever.
Yeah,
I'm the one they call when they got not repent. It's not repent. It is like repent, but it's I need I'll get it in a minute. But anyways, I had a lady that straight up deliverance. I need deliverance.
Oh God, yeah. You need to be delivered. You need to be delivered from the evil that is embracing your soul.
And I'm like, the Holy Spirit has straight up touched me, and the Holy Spirit to me is feminine, and then they just wig out on me.
I had a couple of little old ladies come up to me one day, and they were just giving me shit for being a pagan. They were all up in my crap, right? And they were giving me all kinds of crap. They're like, you just need Jesus. You're involved in all this kind of evil, demonic stuff. You're casting spells and doing wicked, evil stuff. And you need God. And like, they was getting up in my face. And I'm like, ladies, I'm not doing anything to you. I said, I don't even interact with you. I said, honestly, to be perfectly honest.
Oh, my cat is snoring behind this also. She's literally curled up snoring. I was hearing like a
funny.
I got
and these ladies were just like coming at me, and I'm like, hey, first off, like, I don't even really associate with you. You came to me and you started this conversation with me. I wasn't doing anything, with like, I wasn't trying to do anything with you. Wasn't out here, shouting my stuff to you, trying to persuade you to become a pagan. I wasn't out here asking you, hey, have you heard the good news of Ceranos? I wasn't out here asking you if you've heard the good news of Bridget. But you want to shove that shit down my face when all I'm out here trying to do is my thing. I said, so you're coming to me and you're telling me I do all these evil and wicked things, and you're coming and you're harassing me over these things. So if I really truly am this evil, wicked person, wouldn't you want to not piss me the hell off?
I think I have actually said that before. Like,
I did.
That's terrifying. Why in the world are you coming at me?
And the one lady's like, well, we're here to try to save your soul. I said, I don't want you to save my soul. My soul doesn't need saved. And I definitely don't need a salvation that you're trying to bring, because your salvation comes with all these sets of rules and regulations, and you can do this, but you can't do this. You got to do exactly what we say, how we say it. That's not salvation. That's imprisonment.
Well, each to their own, but it's like,
I straight up told the lady,
you will, but don't put your shit on everybody else.
I straight up told the lady, I said, hey, if you think I'm out here casting spells, I said, maybe you should leave me the hell alone before I cast a spell on you. She goes, well, your spells won't work. She goes, my Lord is more stronger and he's more powerful and he'll protect me. I said, then why the hell are you even worried about me? Leave me alone.
That Yahweh do. Don't even get
like seriously. If you think that I'm no threat and no issue because your God is more powerful than anything that I can believe in,
Melissa called it.
then just shut up and leave me alone. Oh, yeah. Oh, God. That's all organized religion is fear-based.
You know, and that is something we were talking about New Age earlier, even spirituality. And that is something that is a little bit concerning within that movement and within even the spiritual communities ourselves, is when all of a sudden you have like these gurus, or you have, you know, and I'm like, be your own guru. You know, I will never tell you I'm your guru. I want to share my experiences and try to help people, you know, and I've got some knowledge and wisdom out, you know, that from, you know, but I'm not going to sit there and say I'm above you, or you're, you know, there's no condemnation, but there is within that hierarchy. And that's where we were kind of talking about ableism earlier. I have been persecuted within even New Age because I have lupus. I've got fibro. I fight for my life. But I've had people tell me, well, you must have been really bad, or what did you do? You must have bad karma. And I'm like, what? Karma don't work like that anyways. I got good dharma is what I got, because I'm not smacking people.
I had, and I've told you about this, I had some guy come up to me, message me on Facebook, was a guest that I was having scheduled for the podcast. This guest never ended up on the podcast, just so you guys know that. But it was a guy I was talking to about having as a guest on the podcast. And we was actually scheduled to do a show, and I had to cancel last minute when I was still dealing with my hernia. My hernia had come out, and I just happened to go to the emergency room to get medical treatment to help with the hernia. I had to happened 30 minutes before the show, and I knew I was going to be up there for the rest of the night, because that's just how it goes. And so I was letting him know, hey man, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to do this. I got this hernia that's come out. I've got to go to the emergency room, get it dealt with. This guy messages me while I'm sitting in the I've got autoimmune issues as well.
He's got lupus and fibro. We're very much similar in that.
So I'm sitting there, get a message on my phone. Well, I really feel that you have some uncontrolled anger issues and unresolved anger issues, and that's why you have this hernia, and it's there and it's bothering you. If you resolve these anger issues and get those taken care of, your hernia will go away. And my response was, you don't understand basic fucking medical science. Don't say that shit to me ever fucking again.
It's very invalidating.
It is.
I had someone tell me lupus wasn't real, and I was like, excuse me?
I'm sitting in the emergency room with a severe hernia that, if not getting medical treatment, could potentially end up killing me.
Absolutely.
Severe medical issue. Someone in this community is sitting there trying, not our particular community, but I'm saying in the overall spiritual community, is trying to tell me, oh, well, you don't really need a doctor. The only problem is you need to get your anger issues. And I'm like, motherfucker, you're making my anger issues worse because you're spreading some stupid bullshit.
And
you're saying some stupid stuff to me right now that is belittling the incident, the ordeal that I am going through, and the severity of what it is. If I did not get medical treatment and that had become an incarcerated bowel, which can cause gangrene, die, and kill me.
And you can get sepsis and ruptures and all kinds of stuff. I have hernias. I have to pay attention.
And so when someone comes up in the spiritual community and says that shit, I just look at them and tell them they're an idiot. I will. I won't pull any blocks. I won't pull any punches. I will straight up call them a fool to their face, because you are belittling what that person is going through. You're belittling the ordeal of what they're going through. Fibromyalgia and lupus and any other, like Crohn's, cancer, any of those things, any autoimmune diseases, any chronic illnesses, mental health issues, any of those things people deal with, those don't come because, my spiritual...
you were so bad in your past lives, and this is your punishment. No, mother scratcher. What I am is an empath, and I'm a transmuter, and I was untrained, unprotected my entire whole life, and I'm just now learning how to deal with this stuff that I've been carrying that's not even mine. And not to mention, this world is very toxic to us because we are sensitive by nature, because we're a different vibration. And not to mention, I get on the whole high horse about it, like the law of attraction. I love law of attraction, but that has been used against me. Oh, you're manifesting it. If you quit going to those doctors and quit taking that medication and blah, 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 and just believed that you're healed, you'd be healed. No,
I had someone tell me that once, and I told him, I said, what you're saying will get you sued.
Absolutely.
I said, absolutely, right now, if I quit taking the medications that I was on at that time, I was taking medications for some stuff that at that point in time, I had an infection. I was taking some medication. I was taking antibiotics. And they're like, oh, well, you just need to stop taking those and just believe that you're going to. And I'm like, dude, what in flying hell?
It's a disconnect. And
it's because they just have this whole thing. They have this whole thing that, it's a way of them not just disconnecting. It's a way of putting them above you because I'm not sick, but you are. And if you would just get things right and get on my level, you wouldn't be bad. You wouldn't be sick.
Oh, yeah. I had someone split up with me. Only spiritual person I've ever dated, and I haven't dated since this. Or anybody, I'm just not even, But it was the same, and it was like some gaslighting bull crap, like what in the flying, and it was I can't date you because do you know how hard it is to break up with someone who's sick? Dude, boom, end of conversation.
Like, hold on, let me take care of this for you. Get your shit and get the fuck out.
It wasn't like that. It was long distance, but the conversation was over. I said, this conversation's over. But
I know who you're talking about now.
Yes. And look, like what Melissa said, I got Cushing's from being on steroids. I've got, I had atrial thrombosis. I survived a blood clot in my heart in December that tried to kill me 3 times. I had a full near death. I'm here for a reason. That's where Dolores Cannon, I love what she says about those with disabilities, is that we're some of the wisest, most ancient souls that are here for very specific reasons during these times of incarnation and the shift from the Kali Yuga, Aquarius age, all that stuff. And by us just being ourselves, we're teaching people acceptance.
Well, what a lot of these people don't understand that come and judge us for the way that we
I've been blamed too.
Oh, yeah.
That pisses me off.
Oh, yeah.
Don't even get me started. I went off an old lady in the grocery store because she was talking to her friend out loud, staring at me and said, oh, she'd be so pretty if she lost weight. And I did. I went off on her. I was, and when I left my grocery cart and everything, and it hurt me. It hurt. And I said, you don't know my history, my medical. You don't know why I'm fat right now. You don't know what my size has always been. You don't know crap. You're judging me and fat shaming. And I told her maybe she need to go look in the mirror, I think, or something. I don't remember, but
I straight up had a guy, and I was in a line at a fast food place ordering food, and I ordered a large meal. Like, I ordered the meal and I upsized it. And he's like, well, you don't need that. He said,
my ex-husband.
And he started, this was some stranger. This wasn't even someone I know. This is just some stranger in line. He's like,
well, their business.
He's like, you don't need that. You don't need to eat that much. He said, you should be eating a lot less. And I turned around and I looked at him. I said, either I eat this or I'm going to eat you. You make the choice. And it was funny because the guy behind the counter just fucking lost it. He laughed. I'm like, and I looked at the guy and I'm like, who in the hell is it for you to say to me what I should be doing? I don't know you. Like, seriously. And I told the guy, I said, unless you're going to pay for my food, you have no reason to bitch about what I'm getting. If you have a problem, keep your mouth shut.
Exactly. Well, and like going back to like that spiritual new age kind of, they'll sit there and say, like, if you're not fit, you're not, drinking, your whatever water. And, and if you do have health issues and you are chunky or you are, that's that low vibration.
If you don't look like Matt Rife.
He is kind of cute. He's such a baby to me though. Not mine.
Uh-huh.
That was cute. I can totally appreciate how cute he is, but
But no, I'm honestly, I brought that up as a funny because of the Matt Rife
it's funny though, because Brittany, I don't know if she's still here. I figured out who Matt Rife was.
Yeah, we had after the show. Last night I took Tiffany through a whole slew of Matt Rife videos. But no,
that rant felt good.
I thought what?
That rant,
Mm-hmm.
Speaking out against that stuff, it's not okay. Shaming people in any capacity, no matter what, is not okay.
Well, you're speaking your truth. That's what you're doing. And honestly, this is a great month to be doing it because it's Pride Month. I got some Rainbow Mentos.
Nice. I've been putting love wins on a bunch of stuff, and I've had people going.
I love tasting the rainbow.
Absolutely. Speaking of transgenders, eunuchs in ancient cultures were revered. I am not playing. Look it up.
Mm-hmm.
The goddess
in the Native American culture, they have what they call the two spirits.
And it's true.
And the two spirits are considered some of the most sacred, holy souls within their communities. The two spirits are considered just some of the most beautiful people by the native beliefs.
Mm-hmm. Look at Polynesian cultures. Look at it, and it's like all of a sudden, it's really like an attack on the sub pops, and it's like back off of the peoples, man.
All that comes out of that kind of that Protestant kind of that whole Protestant movement, that whole that Protestant morality and laws and that judicial system that was set up and ingrained in these laws that they bring, like it's that Protestant morality that they try to make into legalism.
They need to research King James if they want to come thump that at me, because there's some history on King James right there. Yeah, buddy.
King James liked to taste the rainbow too.
I can destroy, and they're like ready to flamboy me, like break out with your flamethrower creme brulee lighter over there. Like I'm about to get freaking. I'm in hostile territory. Retreat.
I swear to God, I was definitely one of the ones when they went to burn me on the cross that I was smoking a cigarette while they were doing it. What spirits? Native American? Two spirits. They call them two-spirit people. Yeah. Native Americans. Yeah. It's people that contain both masculine and feminine. Like usually they'll refer to them like. Honestly, in our culture, it would be people that are either would be considered transgender or bisexual or along those lines. Well, trans are considered two spirits as well within the community too, because they're people. It's really people that are gender fluid, is what it is. It's because they can embrace both aspects of the spirit fluidly. They have the divine masculine, divine feminine within them. It's beautiful. Right. Here it's two, like the number two.
He said spell it's TWOSPIRIT. I've researched it because I was told I had two spirits, and I was like, "What?"
Yeah, and it's and the big thing about the big thing about the two spirit people is, and a lot of times I don't like go around.
We don't talk about it.
I know. It's just one of those things. I feel weird talking about it. Like
I'll talk about being a high guy. Like you don't talk about it.
No, because I don't.
It's called being humble about shit too.
Part of it's I don't like necessarily claiming some of those titles.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I totally.
Like I just don't.
It's that divine feminine, divine masculine is the way I see it.
Like I have no problems talking about what a Hyoka is or what two spirits are. I just don't like talking to claim, because I'm one of those people that I just am what I am, and I walk what I walk, and I'll work with you in that manner. So
It's beautiful. Two spirits is beautiful, Tim. When you research it, look up the history of two spirits in indigenous cultures.
But they're considered they're treated with a lot of respect and a lot of reverence because of being able to bring those aspects of those two spirits into balance within themselves.
Yes, thank you, sister.
Yes,
it's true.
Yeah.
They really did. and other cultures too. And this whole thing about asking people, you know, what junk they had downstairs.
You got to share that meme after this that I sent you last night. I didn't share that today. You got to share that.
To people, you know, like, well, what were you born as? It's none of your business, number one. And number two, like, I technically, with my hernias and stuff, I count as, was it intersex? Intersex. I'm estrogen. I was extreme estrogen dominant because of it. I could have been born a boy at one point, and when my zygote was doing its thing, I was like swatching, like, which one is it gonna be? And I turned out to be a she, but based on my, you know, anatomy. But then when they did a surgery on me, they said, "Oh, she's got these hernias," and I said, "What?" And explained a lot of my hormonal stuff. And if they had done a chromosomal check on me when I was younger, it would have saved me 9 surgeries and a hysterectomy, probably.
I'm going to do a screen share because I got to share this.
Oh, it's a great meme he shared with me. But, you know, we're way more than just boy, girl. And it's been a known thing. Oh, this one.
Are you boy or girl? I'm a god. I mean, what's your gender? Chaos. But what's in your pants? Mischief.
I love that one. I love it. And that's that whole thing. Like, you know, like boundaries, people.
Yeah. It's like, it's one of those things. Like, I've had people like come up on me like, okay, I'm bisexual. I'm openly bi. I've never tried to hide it. Like, I grew up in that. I grew up in that really conservative Christian home, like I've talked about many times. Like, honestly, a few months before my mother passed away, she's like, "I don't know why you go around telling people you're gay." I'm like, "Mom, I'm not gay." I'm like, "There's a difference between being gay and bi. Very, very big difference."
There is.
Like, the whole aspect of, like, I actually primarily date women, but I do enjoy, you know,
love is love is the way I see it.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You know, two people, it's beyond the physical.
Yeah, and I, you know, I get this kind of stuff, and I'm like, what's it even matter? Like, seriously, why does it even matter to you? Because, and I asked her this, I said, why does it matter to you? I said, who I sleep with, who I'm in love with, who I do whatever with, is up to me. That's between me and them. And she's like, well, you're my child and what you do reflects on me. And I'm like, well, if you feel that, then you're going to be pretty damn disappointed because I don't follow your rules.
Because it makes them a bad parent in their eyes.
It was that whole thing because I live in that Bible Belt. Oh, well,
me too.
If he's dating someone of the same sex, then, oh my God, ew, what's going on with that family?
That movie. They need to that movie that came out, and what was it? The one where it's added where they added the thou shalt not. They added homosexuality to the Bible. That movie, 19 something. It's a documentary that came out, and it's hard to find. I'm going to tell you, I've searched it, and it has been pulled off of major platforms. There's a movie. Hold up.
This is all news to me because I haven't heard of this.
Oh, it's yeah.
But it's that whole thing, like, you know, it's that, oh, well, you have to act a certain way because if you don't do things a certain way, then the people in the community are going to judge us by what you do. And yes. I'm like, well, then, you know what? I really don't give a shit.
1946, the mistranslation that shifted a culture. It's a documentary.
That's really interesting because in 1945 is when they found the Nag Hammadi library, the Nag Hammadi text.
Was it the 40s?
I'm pretty sure it was 1945.
It may be.
Nag Hammadi was found really late.
Oh, I know. It was stashed.
Yeah.
That 1946, the mistranslation has shifted a culture. If anyone knows how to get their hands on that film, please let me know because I can't find it on any platform. And that film is supposed to be like that documentary. It calls it as it is. 1945. That is insane.
Yeah, that's when it was found in 1945.
That was when they in Egypt. Yep, they found.
That's what I thought. It was 1945.
Yep.
Yeah, December of 1945.
Telling you, 1946. The mistranslation that changed. I've read the synopsis of it because I couldn't find the film. It's an erroneous translation of the term homosexual in the Bible that's been weaponized against the LGBTQIA community ever since.
I believe it is too, because I believe it's not meant to be the term homosexual. I believe from the studies that I've seen, it's meant to be the term pedophile.
It is.
It's supposed to be do not lay with a man like you would what they're saying is two men. It's not supposed to be two men. It's supposed to be a man should not lay with a boy.
Yes. Well, I think it was children. Yes.
Or children. It was saying a man should not, be messing around with kids is what it was saying.
It was in the Cleveland International Film Fest. It was in Palm Springs. It's been in all kinds. The trailer's phenomenal. It is literally.
I know some guys who like hunt down some of that more obscure stuff. Let me see if I can find a copy of it.
Oh, I would love to watch it because it is very much like with what would happen with witch, that thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. It's not witch, it's murderer. Come on now.
It's murderer or poisoner.
Exactly. That one little tweak like that one little bam.
Yep. And
it changes culture.
And that changes culture. That change happened with King James. That ended up leading to the witch trials that happened in Salem and across. Let's just go into it, and not just the witch trials there. We went into witch trials all across Europe, all across the Americas.
And it wasn't just witches. Anybody.
No. Yes, anybody. And it wasn't just women they were going after males. In the Salem witch trials, there's documentation of at least 5 male witches being executed during the Salem witch trials. Many, many more women were executed. Many, many, many more women executed. Which, I mean, and they're sitting there and going, well, we're doing this in the name of God. Dude, your God said to love people, not to kill them. Jesus Christ almighty, listen to what he says.
Actually, I think it's 2 different gods. The demiurge of the Old Testament, and then the one that Jesus speaks, or Yeshua speaks of,
But if you're a Christian, none of that should matter. Everything that should matter is what happened in the New Testament, because Jesus came and said, I come and I make a new covenant and I bring you new commandments. That means the old is passed away. He has sealed that covenant. He has sealed that commandments now this is if you're Christian and you wholly believe this. And if you're a Christian, you should believe this because this is what Jesus said.
But a lot of us that are deemed blasphemous are probably more Christian than those that follow the actual religion version.
because he said, I come and I make a new covenant and I give you 2 commandments. And one is to love thy Father God above all else or all others, basically putting God first above everything. Love God first. And then the next one was love thy neighbor as thyself.
That was the main thing. It was love above all else. Always. Love as the main commandment.
That is the only thing Jesus really preached in his whole 3 years of his, and it was only 3 years that Jesus done his teachings in the promised land. It was a 3-year time frame, and the only thing he really ever preached was love. He preached love. Love, 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 love. Now, did he go into the temple and kick the holy crap out of some people when people were disrespecting the temple with the money changers and stuff? Oh yeah, he was a badass. Don't mess with the man. He got medieval on some people. He's teaching them how to do it. He's like, watch, I'm going to write the book. You grab the scourge, kick over some tables, beat the shit out of the people that are being disrespectful, chase them out of the temple, restore the order and the sanctity to the temple. So I've been reading Jerome and his conflict with translating the canonizing Bible for Pope Damasus first. Yeah.
Tim, you should check out the Nag Hammadi. The Nag Hammadi library online. It's beautiful.
Actually, what you should check out, Tim, is the Ethiopian Bible.
The Ethiopian, the Syriac text is phenomenal as well, because it includes the text of Adam and Eve. It includes a lot.
And it wasn't even known as Ethiopia then. It was known as the Kingdom of Cush. The Cushites were very, very, very advanced in a lot of stuff. A lot of the things that the Egyptians took, as far as like the way they built the pyramids and they done the way they entombed people and stuff. A lot of that is believed that came from the Cushites. That came from the Kingdom of Cush.
The Ethiopian Bible is it's a Syrian.
But it wasn't even known as Ethiopia, I believe, when that Bible was in translation there. It was still Cush.
Yes, it was. That's why they call it after the language. It is the Syriac Bible. This one is actually in Aramaic, though. So you got the Syriac. I forgot those were two separate. The Syriac and then the Ethiopian, but the Syriac does contain the original translations from Aramaic, from the original text. So it includes the book of Adam and Eve. It includes a totally different story of Noah, y'all. There's a lot of different, it includes Enoch. The Ethiopian Bible includes the book of Enoch. That's from the Dead Sea Scrolls. I'm going to share what these are right here. The Syria.
So this is just a little blurb on the Ethiopian Bible. It says, unlike the King James Bible, which contains 66 books, the Ethiopian Bible comprises a total of 84 books, includes some writings which were rejected or lost by other churches. This manuscript, however, only contains the 4 Gospels of and the first 8 books of the Old Testament.
Well, and it's like the Ugaritic Bible as well, that one.
You know what I like about that, having the 4 Gospels and not all the other crap in there, is a lot of that stuff past the Gospels was written by Paul.
Yeah, well, that's that whole, don't get me started.
Yeah. Oh, we can go down that rabbit hole because I have all kinds of Deuteronomy. Remember the other day when I said I was pissed off about a scripture that I was looking up and stuff? I was looking up the whole thing in Deuteronomy about a man should not wear a woman's clothes and vice versa. You know what I find really funny about that is in Deuteronomy, if you looked at the context of how they were laying out all these laws, is there were laws pertaining to how men should be, how women should be, how you should deal with this, how you should deal with that. But that one is placed right in the middle of a bunch of text about how humans should interact with animals.
Yeah.
So it's either put in there, added in, because it's not in the right place where it would make sense with the way they were writing all these things out. Because if you look at the scriptures before it and you look at the scriptures after it, they're all talking about laws and dealing with the way you are meant to handle an animal. Like it's if your neighbor's, sheep should become lost and you find it, you are to return it to him. Or if you don't know whose it is, you're to take it, care for it until someone comes looking for it, and then you return it back to them. Type ordeal like that. And that was laws that they were setting out. And then in the middle of all these laws about how you're supposed to care for animals and livestock and, take care of all this stuff, there's this one scripture about a man should not wear garments of a woman and a woman should not wear garments of a man. And people use this for the trans and the drag, and they use that as a weapon. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at this stuff and I'm looking at in the Bible in the context. And I'm like, it doesn't fit in the context of the scripture where they're talking.
No, there's a lot of stuff like that. And Deuteronomy was very much also that after they had been imprisoned by the Babylonians, a lot of that is the decision to go and the monotheistic versus the paganistic. That get rid of your enemies, go into the villages, kill every woman, every child. If you find a woman that you like, you can take her, you can have her. Make sure that the children are dead, and make sure that you kill all the men. What? I mean, it's all about pillaging. And I'm like,
so here, let me read the scripture before, the scripture of, and the scripture after in the King James on this. So
I don't even like reading that one.
So the one before on thou shalt not wear the clothing garments of a man and woman says, thou shalt not see thy brother's ass or his ox fall down by the way and hide thyself from them. Thou shalt surely help him to lift them up again. And then it goes into saying, the woman shall not wear that which pertaineth unto a man, neither shall a man put on a woman's garment, for all that do so are abominations unto the Lord thy God. Then it goes into, if a bird's nest chance to be before the tree in the way in any tree, or on the ground, whether they be young ones or eggs, and the dam sitting upon the young or upon the eggs, thou shalt not take the dam with the young. Meaning you leave the mother, you take the eggs, you have the eggs for your harvest, you leave the mother to generate and continue to populate. You don't kill the breeding animal. So literally right in the middle of and like the 3 or 4 verses before that and the 3 or 4 that follow the ones that I just read all pertain to how you handle an animal, but they stuck this other one right smack dab in the middle of it. Doesn't make sense with the flow of how everything was, because if you look over into chapter 21 of Deuteronomy, they're talking about that, and if you go down several more verses in that same chapter, they start talking about stuff again after they get done talking about dealing with the animals. So it doesn't make sense. Yeah, absolutely, Tim. And the fact that, honestly, a lot of the books in the Bible were written hundreds, if not thousands of years after the events actually happened.
Exactly.
Like, during the time of Genesis, there wasn't some dude walking around taking notes.
Blasphemy that I said that to.
Oh yeah, I'd be told it's blasphemy, and that's actual historical, empirical evidence that they know for sure.
When you say Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John didn't actually write it, oh my word.
Not at all. It was written like 1st to 2nd century AD. So Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John would already all be dead.
The Nag Hammadi is amazing because they are the actual from the people of that time period being written down, and before that, and they had to go hide their books in these clay jars, and we have fragments of them.
Well, it was during the time of when the Romans were going and killing the Gnostics.
Yes,
and during that same point in time, that's when they burned the Library of Alexandria.
Yes.
Because the Library of Alexandria contained all the mystic, it contained all the scrolls and all the teachings from the mystic schools, from the mystery schools, from these esoteric teachings, stuff that the Christians and the Romans didn't want out. Even though at one point in time the Romans were killing the Christians, it eventually became that the Christians took control of Rome.
Well, like Constantine. Yeah. I mean, that's the whole Nicene stuff. I mean, it was during all that time period.
Yeah.
There's this whole thing about crap. I lost it. I don't know where it went. I'm getting tired, Josh.
We've been on for 2 hours, so we can go ahead and call this.
I shared with y'all the link for that gnosis.org. That has the entire all the texts from the Nag Hammadi, the Gnostic texts that were deemed as blasphemous. They were deemed, look up the history. It's beautiful reads. Anything use discernment, anything trust your intuition and your own soul yourself. But it resonated with me when I read it in college, when I was taking Bible literature classes, because my bachelor's is in humanities. And I studied cultures, and I studied the Bible from a literary point of view,
right?
Religious.
And then the other things that you can look into besides just the Nag Hammadi text,
Dead Sea Scrolls,
is Well, no, the pseudepigrapha and the apocrypha as well as the Dead Sea Scrolls.
Yes, the apocrypha text. I can share that too.
Well, and there was the pseudepigrapha as well.
Yes.
And these were all different texts that was decided not to be canonized into the Bible.
Because they in like they taught a very different version.
Mm-hmm.
And God is in me and God is in you, because God is in everything.
Tammy, be very careful with the weather out there. Be safe.
Much love, Tammy. Yes, please be safe. For Josh and Tiff to think about. I'm looking for a deity. Any suggestions? Melissa, I say check into your ancestral lineage if you know it. A lot of us are very naturally called to the deities of our ancestors. I can send you some really good articles. I'll send you some. And I'm going to say, I don't worship deities. Okay.
No,
I will work with them like I'll work with archangels. I see them as part of a hierarchy. I believe in source consciousness. I believe in a cosmic divine.
I use the term because me and Tiff was actually talking about this before we even went live today. We was having a conversation about that, and I use the term that I give reverence to them because the way that I see the gods and goddesses, my belief structure, my belief structure is that there's a source that creates everything, and what that source is, cosmic consciousness, whatever it is, that's up to you to interpret. But I believe the gods and goddesses are teacher aspects of that they are celestial divine teachers that are here to teach us. And sometimes they teach us if you want to take let's go for the Greek pantheon, for example, because the Greek gods and goddesses were very human. They were very flawed.
They're archetypal too of our own inner self. So it's outer microcosm to macrocosm.
Exactly. And they are there to teach us different things and different aspects of ourselves and how to work with the aspects of different things. And to be like you said, they're meant to be a reflection of us so that we can see how, okay, look at Zeus. He's being a dick. Don't be a dick. Don't act like Zeus. I mean, when we talk about the Greek pantheon, there's nothing else you really can't say about Zeus. He was an idiot.
We can really get into some of my philosophies on some stuff there, because if you see it, look at you can get into the Zachariah Sitchin, you can get into ancient astronaut theory, you can get into the Anunnaki. It's the same archetype that is seen in all the cultures. I mean, every culture has these certain archetypes, and it's part of that collective consciousness of what I believe is divine for humanity. Jungian psychology, you get the anima and the animus. I mean, there's some beautiful, it's shamanistic points of view see it that way in a lot of aspects. The anima, the animus. Carl Jung, I love his stuff. When I was studying my master's in counseling psychology, I really, really focused a lot on Carl Jung.
Oh, I love Jungian psychology and just that whole aspect. I mean, he's who coined the phrase shadow work.
Absolutely.
So
that's when I realized I've been doing shadow work for a while. I think it's got a name. It's not hell. Which in the Bible, actually, there is not a place called hell. If you really look at it, it was called Sheol. And the place called Sheol is actually the dump outside the town. So Yeshua never really talks about a heaven or hell. So hellfire and brimstone stuff was kind of manipulated, y'all. I had to read Dante's Inferno, and I was still very indoctrinated at the time with the 9 cantos and 9 circles of hell. I read the Paradiso, you name it. And I mean, I read the old school where I'd have a professor translate and explaining shit. And I was like, this didn't resonate. Like, it did not make sense to me. And then I really started understanding how the propagandize what Tim says right here is that people, that's the uneducated, and that's where the women became such a problem, because you're uneducated were your farmers, your workers, the women were the hearth of the home. Women had such a role that women remembered. And that's where you see in archaeology, you see Asherah worshipped with Yahweh. And it's Yahweh and his Asherah, his wife, his consort, because the folk religion or folk spirituality was different than the priest, which became a class system.
Right. Well, and the true Gnostic texts talk about that, because the Gnostics were the mystics and they weren't concerned with controlling people.
That's where I got the mystic thing from. I was like, dude, I totally am like, I'm a mystic, man.
Absolutely, because the mystics aren't concerned with control. They're concerned about just passing on the truth of knowledge and it's up to each individual to discern how they take it. Once you hand out that knowledge, it is up to that individual to decide how they're going to work with it, how they're going to handle it, what they're going to do with it. When you're talking about how they were working with the priest and stuff to deliver the messages and stuff, it goes right back into using it for that control, that manipulation. And that's what the King James Bible was they wanted to translate it to where the common folk, when they could read it, and they were being told, this is the word of God. This book says everything you need. We translated it, and now you're going to read it. And,
think about the press. Once they started putting it, but think about the edits and think about it. Once it was put on paper like that, it could be altered, changed, but it became in the common, like you said, the common folks' hands.
Well, and part of the problem is the original translations that were being done by monks. And each individual monk that was translating it may translate something differently. It wasn't like it was translated by the same person or all in the same place. These were done at abbeys all across, England and Europe, where they were doing these translations, and they weren't being translated, but like all in the same place, where it's like, okay, well, we can, Brother John over here, that's not that translation. Brother Tim's already looked into it. You've got this translation wrong. Let's correct it. They didn't have that kind of control. Whatever Brother John said was what Brother John said. Whatever Brother Tim translates, what Brother Tim translated. And that's what you get.
Well, in the language. So, Aramaic to Hebrew to Greek or Latin, and then you've got to English.
And you have words that don't even translate because they don't have a way to translate that word over into that language. They might be able to get something similar, but it's not the actual translation of what that was trying to denote.
And then that's where you get little things like, they will throw in a word that deals with, instead of, one thing, it'll be something like 1946, the mistranslation that affected a culture, And with anything, it's that discernment. And that's what I got in so much trouble as a child, because I asked questions, and it was, don't ask questions, don't ask questions. And I'm like,
hey, I was
being told to ask questions.
I was the one in Sunday school when they're like, God created the heavens and the earth, and he created all of everything. And I looked up, raised my hand, I looked right at the Sunday school teacher. I said, well, then who created God?
Exactly.
I'm like 5-6 years old. This is the childlike innocence, wonder, and curiosity. I was told to shut up, not to say that question ever again, and to go out of the Sunday school room, to go out front and sit with my parents out in the main auditorium. That I was not to be into the Sunday school because my little question was going to corrupt the other kids.
That I had a weird thing when they were talking about Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel and Seth, and then Cain gets kicked out and goes and marries a woman from another tribe. But they
I asked him that too. I'm like, where'd the other woman come from?
I was like, well, who was the other people? I don't understand.
I was like,
and I got in trouble.
It's because they didn't have answers.
Well, because you're taught not to question. And that is a dangerous thing.
Straight up, I will tell you, the people that are in those churches, at least the ones that I was in, the ones that I was in, they did not have the ability to answer that question, and
Oh, yeah.
because they had no knowledge of it, because they didn't care to have knowledge of it. And I will tell you, those same people, if I'd go to them today and ask them that same question, they still wouldn't have any knowledge of it. And it is out there where you can access it if you want.
Well, because they don't look into it because it's a blind faith. And I had even been told by a preacher that I was sent to try to talk to me about my stuff, and that preacher was just like, and I was like, blind faith is a scary, scary, scary thing. And he said, blind faith is dangerous. And I said, amen, hallelujah.
Yep.
Don't ask questions. What?
Yeah.
Don't do your research. Don't understand. The Bible.
Hey, and I will say this. I will say this.
Authors F, you've got authors J, you've got authors K, you've got authors. There's even one that they think might have been a female.
Well,
she's author F.
And some of those books, like Genesis, weren't written by just one author.
There's 4.
Yeah.
And there's 2 creation stories. There's the creation of the earth and creation of man. Which one are we talking about? Because the Torah has a different translated version of, and theirs includes Lilith. Actually, that was in there's another text that includes, but there was not just Adam and Eve, y'all.
No. Not at all.
I think it's a whole genetic manipulation crap with some, ancient aliens kind of coming down here and messing with some stuffy with us.
I don't know what all it was, but I know that what it is a lot of manipulation by people not wanting to reveal the truth. And if we really want the truth, there's about 50 miles of tunnels underneath the Vatican in Rome that probably has all the information we need. They're just locking it away and keeping it from us.
When I understood that about Lilith, I totally different. And there's a certain text. I can't think of the name right now. It's a Jewish text. It was,
if I believe right, if I remember the right teaching,
my third eye.
It goes from the simple fact that Lilith did not want to be on the bottom during sex.
No,
and she was not willing to submit to Adam. And that's why she was kicked out of the garden and Eve was created.
And then she went to the Red Sea and she found herself some demons over there and started making herself some demon babies. And there were 3 angels that, old Adam told on her. And then, that Yahweh dude or whatever was like, oh, go get her back, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, I'd rather be over here being a demon mama than go be subservient to him.
See, they demonized Lilith, but I don't really think that she was demonized. I don't think it was demons that she was consorting with. I don't think it was anything bad at all.
I think there's some angelic stuff going on there too, because we also had the Nephilim during that time. We had some other stuff going on. The Nephilim! Yes!
Well, the Nephilim would have came after, because the Nephilim was the creation of angels and humans.
Fallen. No, it was true, you're right. But
the Nephilim was the spawn of the fallen angels.
Yeah, they're the hybrids. I've been told I'm Nephilim because I've got a really weird rare blood type, y'all. I'm 1% of the population. And I don't talk about it much, but I'm RH negative, and I got all kinds of questions on that one. Because I've been told I'm everything from Anunnaki to demon spawn to Nephilim to fallen angels to I don't know.
But I claim it all. I'm an Anunnaki, demon spawn, Nephilim, whatever the fuck you want to call me. I don't care.
And I'm like, have they not met me?
I'm just me.
I'm just me. Yeah, exactly. I knew it, Melissa. Do you know how many RHs of negatives I collect? I've told Josh I'm a magnet for my people.
She thinks I'm RH negative. I've never been tested. I don't know.
I'm pretty sure you are, and you've got the red hair. A lot of RHs, we've got red and blonde hair in that family lineage. Green eyes. That's another one. Psychic abilities, empaths, you name it.
I got the hazel eyes that shift colors.
Yes, the descendants of the Watchers from the Book of Enoch.
Yep.
And human females. I question whether those Watchers who came and taught us things such as makeup were really that bad. because I think they're the founders of civilization after the deluge, is what I think. And they tried to help us in a lot of ways. But oh, heaven forbid we learned astrology, which was the Magi, that came in and found Jesus. What were they doing? They were following a star, weren't they?
Yep.
They're following Sirius.
They straight up were like, we're going to follow the star and we're going to find a king underneath it.
Exactly. But it was astrology, and they were watching the star, and they knew at that certain time.
And that came from a prophecy. It wasn't like they were just, navigating using the stars. They were using a very specific star that a prophecy was said, a king will be born under the star under this time frame. And that's what they were tracking. I got to scratch my back. I got my back scratcher.
I'm a cusp. I know some astrologers will come at me for that one. I believe in cusps in astrology. I'm a Cancer Leo. So I am right at the middle point where Cancer switches into Leo. And I have always felt I have both. I've had astrologers come at me and say, there's no such thing. You're either one or the other. And I'm like, okay.
I'm a Leo.
He's a straight Leo. But I'm a rising...
I'm not a straight Leo. I'm just a Leo.
I love it. I'm a rising Sagittarius and moon Libra. Aries, Taurus. Nice. Are you a cusp too? I bet you're a cusp. Yep. He's a cusper.
Nice.
And I bet you feel that at different times, like mine is cusp of oscillation. So mine goes water to sun, or, moon to sun, water to fire. I'm steam.
I like this because this goes back to the, you just took it off of there.
Oh, I see. Stop it.
Let me put it up there. I got it.
Sun, Libra, moon. Yep.
This on going back to talking about like the Watchers and stuff, because that's where this came in.
I love them, their story.
I believe like Machu Picchu and stuff like that were actually built by this is going to be one I'm going to throw out there, the Lost Tribes of Israel.
Okay. So Atlantis, we're talking, are we going to get into Atlantis and Lost Tribes of Israel? I don't necessarily see as Lost Tribes of Israel. I mean, you could say the 12th tribe, the tribe of Dan, maybe.
Here's part of the reason why I think that the tribes of Israel traveled to the Americas. They have done genetic DNA testing on Native American cultures within the United States.
RH negatives have it too.
Almost every single...
It's a halo group.
Hold on. Almost every single... I think you're going on to something different than what I'm going on to.
Okay.
Tiff. Every single Native American group in the North America and even like in the North and South Americas share similar DNA traits and structures with each other. Except for one major tribe, which is the Cherokee. Cherokee tribe, they share more genetic traits with the old children of Israel than they do.
I read that.
They believe that the Cherokee tribe is actually one of the lost tribes that had left Egypt or left Israel after everything went down, because they weren't cool with how shit went down in the Promised Land when they moved in, and so they left and took off.
Haplogroup T. Yeah. The percentage for Egypt is 25%. Cherokee's 26%.
And I believe that that tribe, in order to be able to travel the way that they did, had advanced technologies. I believe they were advanced crafters and builders. They brought that technology to the New Worlds and used it to create temples.
What is that? See, I think, after the deluge, the shining people, the great sages that all these different cultures talk about, there's something there too. It's haplogroup T for that one. And it is linked to Egypt. I had fallen down that rabbit hole. Because I was trying to understand, like the Rh negatives, we come out of nowhere, y'all. We don't have the rhesus monkey proteins on in our blood type. That's why we're Rh negative. And with that, they can't figure out when and where we come in. And that's why Rh negatives mothers can usually only have one child with a father that's Rh positive. And then after that, they have to get the shot because their body deems like interspecies, like a lion and a tiger. Their body, or a mule and a horse. Wait, no, a donkey and a horse make a mule. Whatever.
Yeah.
Ligers, and it's the it's not compatible, and the mother's body will not carry the child to term. And that's where there's the studies on it are kind of few and far in between too, as far as like digging in the science of it. Some suggest that we found the Denisovians. Look at that. There's a whole nother branch of hominids out there, Cro-Magnon. We've got the Neanderthal, and I believe they all intermix, just like in Lord of the Rings. They were all intermixing in Lord of the Rings too. And Rh negatives pop in somewhere. And I have been trying to understand the mystery of this one.
Yep, look what Melissa said.
Yep. She needed the shot. Mules, no. But they cannot, as far as I know, mules can't procreate. Now, a liger can. A liger can be with a liger and create a liger. That it's happened. They didn't think it could happen. And all of a sudden, there was a mama liger hooking up with a daddy liger, and we had some baby ligers. So there is some stuff happening there. It's very interesting.
Oh, man.
But, think about how many women, no wonder why there's so few. I mean, the population wise, it's very small, and they trace a lot of it back to the Basque region, which was a very isolated region in Spain. And they trace a lot of it back to Celtic, Norse. There's a lot of Europeans, the higher population. And some say it's Atlantean. I don't freaking know. Some say it's the old deities, the line of the old deities, like the Titans before the Olympians. There's a bunch of stories. It's interesting.
I mean, in the Celtic lines, they talk about, when Dagna and Danu came up out of the ocean and set foot onto the Celtic Isles and stuff, and that that they brought people with them. They brought it talks about in some of the old texts that they brought, their court. They had entertainers. They brought Druids. That's where the Druids came, was with Dagna and Danu when they came in and they set up. The Druids were already in existence pre-Celtic nation.
A lot of them were picked.
According to some of the stuff that I've read, that it talks about like when they came and they went and talked to the courts of some of the people that were already there, the rulers that were already there, and they was going into their courts and talking. They're like, well, we bring powerful magicians. We bring Druids. And
the Tir na Nog, the people from Tir na Nog.
Yeah, Tir na Nog.
Tir na Nog, I can't say it right. I'm from Texas.
It's the Nog is actually pronounced no.
I did not know this. I said Sam Hain forever, so don't shoot me.
Instead of Samhain.
Well, I didn't know. No one taught me. I had to learn from reading it.
Do you know where I learned it? Because for ages I didn't know either, but I learned it from watching Supernatural when Sam corrected Dean.
Okay. I already learned it by then because I'd been corrected.
Well, I wasn't in communities that were around people, and that was and I was and I was, the communities I was around were still saying Sam Hain.
Sam Hain.
I
got corrected in college, and I was like, duh, okay.
And when when he said that, I'm like, oh my God, that really makes sense because it's a Celtic word and you're not supposed to pronounce it that way. Jesus Christ almighty. We've been saying that wrong all this
Yeah, but
time.
we didn't know. I mean, you don't know until someone says it to you correctly.
Yeah.
You know, if you're learning about it from reading, there weren't films on it. There wasn't History Channel or Gaia or internet, or we were checking out books from the library, man. I had my nose in books. I'm a reader.
Exactly.
You know, so we didn't know how to say it. It didn't have the pronunciation key.
No, and growing up where, you know, in the time frame that we grew up and in the areas we grew up, we didn't have access to these communities to be able to get this knowledge. And really, a lot of my stuff was hard to get because, like, I grew up in a very conservative...
Mine too. I got in trouble for some stuff.
Grew up in a super conservative home in the super conservative region of Ohio, like super Bible Belt area. Like, I swear to God, there's like... I can literally walk out my door and throw a baseball and hit a church.
I'm pretty similar.
Like, in this town, there's churches. You can go block, 2 blocks, you'll find a church.
The churches outnumbered the bars is pretty intense.
Well, we don't even have bars in this town. It was a dry town for a long time.
My family's from a dry county still.
But yeah, like there's so many churches in this town, and like it's only a village of 1,200 people, and there's like 7 churches.
Yeah, every denomination, honey, every flavor.
And that doesn't count all the churches that are just outside of the town, like a couple miles outside of town, out in the country, the little rural churches, all that stuff. I mean, like you drive around this area, it's just church.
You know, I'm thinking about like the Quran. When I read it, it really opened me up to a whole new cosmology as well about the jinn. I'm thinking about that as a spirit. You know, we've got a lot of different, by different names, but you know, it's still, it could be the same being just by a different name and different cultures. Very interesting. Now I'm thinking about it. Tim, Southern Baptist here too. I understand. I got you.
So I got into a lot of craziness and stuff. But hey, earlier you said you was feeling tired. How are you feeling now?
I'm tired.
Well,
it was a long day of doctors, and they took 6 test tubes of blood from me.
Why don't we go ahead and call this, because my back's been bothering me. It's starting to hurt a little bit. We've been on here for 2.5 hours, so I think it's a good point in time.
This has been a great conversation, though. To be really to kind of breach some of these taboo topics in a safe way.
We need to start bringing back the weekly discussion show like we was doing there for a while, which we was doing on Tuesday nights. We'll just figure it out and we'll just bring that back. If we want to try to get it on Tuesdays, we'll set it up on Tuesdays, whatever. Yeah, I think this is great. I love this, whether we get to add someone else into it or if it's just you and me going back
you and
with
I,
the community.
And we can talk to our peoples. Yeah, let's chat. Let's do it.
Yeah. And then, you know, we'll continue doing the other shows with people like Diana and Mary and some of the other guests and stuff that we're going to get. If you're looking for a phone, that was mine that just went off. If you heard.
I had a bling, and it was
that was my phone. It just went off. Yeah, that was my phone.
You know what, Tim? 100%. It's called wisdom and discernment.
Actually, there's an actual term for that. It's ominism. It's an ominist.
I'm omnistic, very omnistic.
It believes it's the belief that you believe that no one religion is the absolute truth, that there's truth in all belief systems, and it's just a matter of finding that and connecting to it.
I'm very omnistic. Yep. She said ominous. Omnistic. Do y'all remember ominous? Ominous omnistics. Watch out for us. You gotta, I'm getting goofy now. All right. You gotta look up, you remember the coexist stickers that showed like all the different world religions? Spell check. I love you. I know what you meant. Like me and Nintendo. I didn't Nintendo.
Yeah, I didn't Nintendo. I saw that.
look, like that coexist, that was about, like it had every major religion represented within that, and it was coexist because that is an omnistic type of movement. And it was teaching that we all have, I mean, look at it. When you compare the golden rule, when you compare the 10 commandments, well, some of the 10 commandments, but when you compare a lot of 10 commandments come straight from the emerald tablets, if we really want to get into it. A lot of Jesus's teachings do too. It's very hermetic, but they all have those, they're all coming from a source, and it's humanity interpreting it through our lenses. I'm right there with you. Love-based is 100%.
Yep, as long as it's love-based, yes, absolutely.
Fear and condemnation don't ride with me.
Nope, if it is not love-based, it's... See, and that's why I like the Sufi religion, because this one of the main Sufi tenets is, if it is not done of love, it is not done of Allah.
Sufism is beautiful. I consider it more of a, I don't know, it's a religion, but it's the mystic philosophy.
Sufism is the mystic aspect of the Islamic faith, just like the Kabbalah is the mystic aspect. The Kabbalism is the mystic aspect of the Jewish belief.
With a K.
Yeah, with the K, Kabbalah or Kabbalah. Like you got the yogis for the Hindu belief. You've got the Gnostics and the Christian mystics for the Christian belief system. You have all these mystic aspects in these religions.
What was the one for Buddhism? We just read that last night. Shintoism?
Yeah, Shintos.
They were the mystics of Buddhism as well. I mean, it's that it's that some say that there's a teaching for the general masses, and some say there's a teaching that's the secret teachings. It's those secret teachings.
Yeah.
You got to look beyond. Collective consciousness. Amen.
All right, guys, I'm going to call this one because my back's starting to hurt and I need to go take care of this. So everybody, we've had a great night tonight. Thank you for the conversation. It's been so much fun. But yeah, Tiffany?
Good rabbit holes. It's been fun digging in these rabbit holes, y'all. And thank y'all for sticking with us.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, guys, we will be back next week at some point in time. Actually, we're going to be back tomorrow night, actually.
We're doing a live of cards.
Yeah, we're doing live readings and spiritual Q&A. It will be Tiffany, Lupe, and myself.
Lupe's amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be so much fun. I'm looking forward to this. This is my first time working with Lupe. I'm pulling cards. I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. So much fun. I worked with her with Reiki, but not with cards. But I'm down. Let's do it.
Yeah, this is going to be so much fun. So we'll be back tomorrow night. We're doing that at 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 Central. So if you want to head up tomorrow night, we're going to be doing that. We'll be here. Come hang out with us, chill, relax. We'll be doing pools. We'll be doing questions, just like we always do. And then some point in time next week, over the weekend, we'll get everything figured out and we'll set up a night that we're going to start doing these kind of discussion nights and stuff. And then as soon as Diana is feeling good enough, we will get her scheduled back in. And we'll break into this conversation that we planned to tonight. She's really looking forward to this. She's really, really sorry she couldn't make it tonight.
I love her.
But, once again, we wish you a speedy recovery, Diana. Just take time, rest, heal up.
You gotta take care of you, boo.
Yeah.
We'll be here. We ain't going anywhere.
That's what I told her. I said, we can just reschedule. I said, everything will be fine. I said, obviously, we weren't meant to do that show tonight, that there's another reason. And it's a timing thing because maybe the people that really need to hear it weren't available tonight to be there for it.
Well, and maybe we're meant to be having this exact conversation at this exact moment.
Exactly. Everything works for a reason. It all worked out the way it was supposed to, the way it was meant to, for the reasons it was meant to. Same reason. Goes back to the same reason why we have our illnesses. They are something that we learn from. They teach us. We're meant to have these. We work with these. We learn from these. We use those to help in our practice with other people. They are an aspect of our gift that we learn to work with. But we'll go into that later. Everybody, Have a good night. Be blessed. Enjoy your night, and we will see you tomorrow.
Blessed be everybody. Good night. And
Night.
much love to both of y'all that are hanging out. It says 4. We got 2 that are talking. To the other 2, good night.
Well, I honestly don't think that counts us, so I think there's actually 4 watching us.
I think so.
Yep. So I will see y'all later. Have a good night.
Good night, y'all.